Chapter 360. Is it not a joy to have friends come from afar? 4. Translator, Translating Novice. Editors, Z0rel, Blue Mango Ade. Join the Discord for chapter updates and important news. Based on the original structure, a mass-produced version derived from the Nether-crossing ship, commonly referred to as the Buk Hyang fleet. It is divided into 4 grade systems. First grade is the command ship, First Hyang ship, where the captain resides. Up to now, 3 First Hyang ships have been produced, each 400 zhong, 1300 m, long and 70 zhong, 230 m, wide. They are directly connected to the power source of the Buk Hyang fleet, supplying power to the subordinate Second Hyang ships. The combat power of the First Hyang ship ranges from a maximum of Grand Perfection Heavenly Being to a minimum of the Early Heavenly Being stage. Second grade is the Second Hyang ship, used in full-scale fleet battles. Up to now, 31 Second Hyang ships have been produced, each 100 zhong, 330 m, long and 10 zhong, 33 m, wide. These ships receive power from the First Hyang ships and supply it to the subordinate Third Hyang ships. The combat power of the Second Hyang ship ranges from a maximum of the Early Heavenly Being stage to the minimum of Mid-Nascent Soul stage. Third grade is the Third Hyang ship, created to support the Second Hyang ship in fleet battles and to command the Fourth Hyang ship. Up to now, 322 Third Hyang ships have been produced, each 60 zhong, 200 m, long and 7 zhong, 23 m, wide. They process power received from the First Hyang ship and Second Hyang ship and deliver it to the Fourth Hyang ship. The combat power of the Third Hyang ship ranges from a maximum of Grand Perfection Nascent Soul to a minimum of the Early Nascent Soul stage. Lastly, the flower of the Buk Hyang fleet that earned them the nickname Invincible Fleet in the Ancient Force realm, the Fourth Hyang ship. Up to now, 6,027 Fourth Hyang ships have been produced, each 10 zhong, 33 m, long, and 15 chi, 5 m, wide. The Fourth Hyang ships have no set combat power as they are not designed for battle. However, despite this, the Buk Hyang fleet is considered the strongest fleet because of the Fourth Hyang ships. Excluding the First Hyang ship, the Second Hyang ship and Third Hyang ship exist solely to protect and control the Fourth Hyang ship. The Buk Hyang fleet is not focused on combat power, and even with all 6,383 ships combined, their power only equates to the late 4-axis stage. Currently, with only about a third of their fleet, their combat power is roughly at the early to mid 4-axis stage. But on the command ship of the Buk Hyang fleet, the fleet commander standing at the bow of the First Hyang ship, a woman in white, looks relaxed. First Fleet will be divided into 5 squadrons of 200 ships each. Seize control of the east, west, south, north, and the airspace of the target area and prepare to create the sea circle. The Second Fleet will escort the First Hyang ship and move slowly towards the target area. 1 meal's worth of time, 30 minutes. Before reaching the target, the 7th, 8th, and 9th squadrons of the Second Fleet will separate and prepare for sea turmoil. Only the 6th and 10th squadrons will remain for direct combat preparation. She quickly enters commands on the semi-transparent scroll floating in front of her, maneuvering the Buk Hyang fleet. Following her orders, the 2,000 ships move in perfect unison. After inputting several commands and issuing orders to the few crew members of the Buk Hyang fleet, she suddenly glances at the target area, towards the location where the monsters of another world have appeared. Why is this happening? She frowns. She, who has barely reached the nascent soul stage through consuming numerous spiritual elixirs in the ancient force realm, can no longer sense the celestial energy inherent to the Heaven tribe, losing her foresight and intuition. However, her gut feeling tells her that something significant will happen if they encounter those monsters. Thump, thump. Is it tension or fear? She feels an unprecedented emotion as she gazes at the sea domain that is beginning to fill with ghostly energy. I contemplate how to deal with Yukio. This has become quite troublesome. Had I known this would happen, I would have interrogated Yukio first. If I had known about Yukio's identity and background, I would have simply thrown her to the governing Dragon Palace's demon beasts for punishment. But who could have predicted this turn of events? When I glare at Yukio with displeasure, she, despite being a koi, breaks out in a cold sweat and tries to change the atmosphere. Haha. By the way, Senior, it's embarrassing to ask, but if I offer you the dragon form disguise method, could you let me go? If I get caught by my father this time, given my father's personality, he will definitely marry me off to that savage pirate captain. I can't let that happen. That man will surely make carp stew out of me. She gives a long speech about the cruelty and savagery of Jean Mayol, the pirate captain of the fighting ghost race, but I just click my tongue. Her exaggerations are obvious. She exaggerates so much that it's clear she's lying. Cautiously, she asks me, I mean, Senior, aren't you really curious about the dragon form disguise method? Despite appearances, it's a famous and extraordinary technique derived from immortal arts. Immortal art, huh? I am somewhat intrigued by her words. Show me the formula. At my words, Yukio quickly takes out a jade slip and appears to copy the formula before handing it over to me. As I read the jade slip, I frown. What is this? It's only the later half of the formula. Hee. If Senior helps me escape, I'll give you the first half as well. Getting caught by my father again is a bit. So she just doesn't want to marry the pirate captain. While observing Yukio, I discover something. She is afraid of something regarding her father, Yukrin. Is there something she hasn't told me? However, I'm too annoyed to ask what else this troublesome koi had done, so I don't ask further. The first half of the dragon form disguise method involves obtaining the energy of a dragon and then nurturing it to mimic the dragon's form. The latter half covers how to maintain the mimicked form and describes the drawbacks of the dragon form disguise method. I carefully read through the second half. The drawbacks of the dragon form disguise method are as follows. Once you transform into a dragon, your original combat power, speed, stamina, and durability decrease, and it takes some time to release the spell and revert back to the original form. Moreover, if you remain transformed for too long, the personality of the form might erode your mind, leading to the mind becoming unstable. As I read through the second half of the formula, I feel something strange. Did you use this technique fully knowing what kind of technique it is? Pardon? Isn't it a divine power that allows one to change species? That's correct. But do you understand how the process works? I didn't fully grasp the process yet as my comprehension is a little low. I stroke one of my 19 jaws, my eyes gleaming. This is a type of curse. Pardon, a curse that overlays another's form onto your own. Similar to my Een Soul Ghost incantation, it seems that one must frequently experience transforming into another being to reach great completion in it. Are you saying it's not a technique to become a dragon? No, you do become a dragon. There are curses that have permanent effects. Specifically, this dragon form disguise method seems to refine oneself into a dragon through a curse. She seems to be enlightened, realizing something significant. Thank you, Senior. Having received a clue from me, she immediately sits in a lotus position, concentrating her consciousness. Her body starts to radiate a soft light, and her cultivation seems to rise slightly. I give Yukio a glance before turning my eyes back to the second half of the dragon form disguise method. If this is a curse, can it be reversed like the Een Soul Ghost incantation or the Black Blood Tears flower? For some reason, I have a hunch about what may happen if this curse is reversed. A technique that overlays another's form on your own, weakening you in the process. If reversed, it would become a technique that enhances one's strength while maintaining one's true form. I involuntarily become excited and reverse the latter half of the formula of the dragon form disguise method. Since the first half, which involves refining and nurturing the dragon's energy, is akin to setting the target, there's no problem reversing it as the target is now myself. Pat it. A pale energy emanates from the dragon form disguise method, sweeping over my body. I examine myself. Nothing has changed. The true form I obtained when reaching the 4-axis stage. Currently, my form is that of a ghost king with 19 heads, obtained from Great Desert to Dead Sea. When I reach the integration stage, this reversed method of the dragon form disguise method might be quite useful. Creating a domain at the integration stage requires a clear sense of self. The enhancement effect of the dragon form disguise method doesn't hold much value for me. It might help ordinary heavenly being or 4-axis cultivators. But for someone like me who has obtained the 3 great ultimates, it doesn't bring much enhancement. At that moment, Quang. A massive light projectile strikes the barrier of the Twilight Domain. It's an attack equivalent to the Grand Perfection Heavenly Being stage. What kind of guests do we have now? I chuckle as I stand up from my seat. Yukio, startled, quickly jumps up and hides inside the Wuji religious hall. I rise up into the air above the Twilight Domain, crossing my arms as I survey my surroundings. Numerous 4-axis and Heavenly Being cultivators densely cover the area. I glance over at Sacred Orchid Island beside the Twilight Domain. I don't know how, but a formidable expert has sneaked in without anyone noticing. An early integration stage? How troublesome. It's someone with exceptional stealth skills. Although it falls short compared to the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts that I refined, it's still difficult to detect without focusing intently. Yet, judging by its nature, it's not something that can be used organically like the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts, but rather a restricted stealth technique that requires a considerable wait before reuse. I quickly send a voice transmission throughout the entire Wuji religious order before shouting loudly. Who dares to intrude? Most of the 4-axis demon beasts around me flinch just from my appearance. I move my 19 heads, making cracking sounds as I ignite ghost fire in my 38 eyes. It's an appearance I genuinely don't like, but it's perfect for intimidating the enemy. In response to my threat, one of the 4-axis stage demon beasts steps forward and shouts, "Hand over Princess Yukio, you monster from another world. The governing Dragon Palace Lord has declared that whoever rescues the princess will marry her and be named heir to governing Dragon Palace." Ho, kuguguguk. I chuckle at those words, revealing my ghostly energy. As energy surges from my 19 heads, the surrounding sea domain quickly fills with ghostly energy. Kaya, Kwaya, Kayawewak. Countless cursed dolls emerge from every corner of the twilight domain, making rattling noises and shrieking ghostly wails. Kugugugugu. The heaven and earth spiritual energy twists violently due to my attraction force, causing the entire nearby space to shake as if it will tear apart. The attraction forces of the 4-axis stage cultivators are nullified by my power, causing some of them who are flying using attraction force to nearly fall from the sky. Their faces darken. They seem to roughly grasp my level of power. With ghost fire blazing in my 38 eyes, I speak. If you wish to die, come at me. Upon hearing my words, about 48 4-axis stage cultivators hesitate and retreat slowly, while the hundreds of heavenly being stage cultivators show signs of panic, contemplating escape. Good. I can resolve this peacefully. I smile inwardly. By giving them such a ferocious impression, they are likely to show reluctance and leave. Of course, I don't know about the hidden early integration stage cultivator, but dealing with just one of them will not be a problem. That's what I thought. Pot. Tadak. A gust of wind blows from afar, and a golden figure appears above the Wuji religious hall, standing with hands behind his back. A black bamboo hat and black martial robes, and an old saber hanging at his waist. Finally, an all-too-familiar heart essence. I stare at the man with blank eyes. Come to think of it, I had momentarily forgotten that he is in this world. Ignoring the rabble eyeing the twilight domain, I leap toward Kim Young-hoon, who landed on the roof of the Wuji religious hall. Quong. In my excitement, I failed to control my strength, slightly damaging the roof and raising a cloud of dust. Smiling broadly, I speak to him. "It's been a long time, Hyungnim." And then, he looks at me with a hesitant expression. "Do I know you?" Now that I think about it, it becomes harder to read the heart essence of those who reach first step before the throne due to the compression of heart essence. Laughing heartily, I say, "Haha, Hyungnim. It's me, Seo Eunhyun." Kim Young-hoon glares at me upon hearing that. "You're saying you're Seo Eunhyun?" "Well, sorry, but since coming to the ancient force realm, I've met quite a few imitators who read others' memories and mimicked them like scum." "Haha, Hyungnim. It's really me. I remember everything from when you first guided me when I first joined the department, to the outings, hiking, and the first day we fell into the head realm. Even the sparring with your avatar." Despite my words, Kim Young-hoon does not erase his suspicious look and asks, "The Seo Eunhyun I met last time with my avatar wasn't a lunatic who plucked others' heads and planted their skulls on his shoulders, you know?" "Oh, Hyungnim, it's a misunderstanding." I laugh heartily and dispel my Ghost King transformation. "No, I try to." "Oh, the Ghost King transformation does not dissolve." I am momentarily flustered but soon find the reason. Dragon form disguise method. The curse of the dragon form disguise method that I reversed to test the technique is covering my body, fixing my current appearance. It will take some time to dispel the spell. With a slightly suspicious face, Kim Young-hoon asks, "To me, it looks like you, a monster of at least the integration stage, devoured my younger brother and subordinate and is now mimicking him." "Haha, if that's the case, why do you not attack me?" Kim Young-hoon grins widely. "To confirm whether you're really Seo Eunhyun or a monster mimicking him." Woo-woo. Golden light arises from his saber. There's only one way to find out, after all. His eyes gleam. "Come at me. If you're Seo Eunhyun, we'd spar anyway. If you're a monster that devoured him, I'd have to cut you down regardless." Fine. Yes, meeting him like this is indeed the best. I draw out the colorless glass sword from my mouth. The fight with Hong Surayong. It's been about 700 years. During the fight with her, each colorless glass sword was at the level of a mid-grade magic artifact. In the centuries that followed, the colorless glass sword was slowly refined in my Dan fire. In 100 years, it evolved from a mid-grade magic artifact to a high-grade magic artifact. In another 100 years, it progressed from a high-grade magic artifact to a top-grade magic artifact. After another 100 years, it finally became a Dharma treasure at the core formation level. In the 200 years following that, it advanced from a core formation level Dharma treasure to a Dharma treasure of grand perfection core formation level. That was the state of every colorless glass sword at the end of the last cycle, and after 230 years of refinement in this cycle. Finally, each and every one of my colorless glass swords have become Dharma treasures at the nascent soul level. Boom. The colorless glass swords vibrate. Chwereric. 3,000 colorless glass swords merge into groups of 10 in the air. 3,000 becomes 300. The Dharma treasures at the nascent soul level then becomes Dharma treasures at the grand perfection nascent soul level. 300 becomes 30. The Dharma treasures at the grand perfection nascent soul level then becomes Dharma treasures at the heavenly being level. 30 became 3. The Dharma treasures at the heavenly being level then becomes Dharma treasures at the grand perfection heavenly being level. Finally, 3 merge into 1, revealing the final form of the colorless glass sword. The form of all heavens is displayed. Pat it. The Dharma treasures at the grand perfection heavenly being level have risen to the level of an out-of-standard Dharma treasure used by 4-axis stage cultivators. My glass sword, refined for thousands of years in Dan fire, is now at the level of an out-of-standard Dharma treasure in terms of pure strength and inherent sharpness, even without activating its Dharma treasure functions. Compared to my weapon, isn't that saber of yours too poor? Regardless of how equal the martial arts skills are, it's common for differences to arise due to the quality of the weapons. No matter what, I think that a single old iron saber is just too weak compared to an out-of-standard Dharma treasure. Yet, Kim Young-hoon, without showing any tension, places his hand on his old saber while looking at my sword. Whoa. Seeing him, my eyes light up. It isn't just a simple saber. In the ancient force realm, there are so many treasures lying around in the sea that I picked up a hobby. Spatial waves emanate from his old saber, and the saber begins to emit light, simultaneously, around him and me. Above the roof of the Wuji religious hall, dozens to hundreds of sabers and swords are embedded. What he holds is a storage artifact in the form of a saber. These are the infamous devil swords, Moijan, and demon sabers, Yao Dal, of the ancient force realm. They are some of my cherished collections. Let me ask you in return. TSTSTST. Golden radiance flashes in his eyes. I let out a hollow laugh as I sensed the demonic energy, devilish energy, and ghostly energy from the surroundings. The blade intent of these wicked swords and sabers are all connected to Kim Young-hoon. He has successfully dominated all these sinister demonic blades. Against these infamous swords and sabers of the ancient force realm, are you confident with just that single ordinary-looking sword? I just grin. Well then, Kwon. I step forward. Now, no more words are unnecessary. Kim Young-hoon and I clash, and in that instant, the 4-axis stage cultivators who have been hesitating all charge towards the Twilight Domain. Hyuk Jin, a demon cultivator of the Waijiangxi domain, bares his pointed teeth and charges towards the Twilight Domain. The cursed dolls try to block him, but it's useless. Ha! You wicked beings. Hand over your treasures and glory to this elder. And as he breaks through the barrier of the Twilight Domain and enters inside, Kwon, he is flung away by a massive figure. Kook, who dares? Then, he sees a single being. A giant god with starlight emanating from its entire body. The giant god raises a purple aura from its body and roars. No one shall set foot inside here. Oh Hyun-suk, the soul-extinguishing ghost king of the Wuji religious order, leads the 13 guardian ghost kings to defend the Twilight Domain. The Right Law Protector and the guardian ghost kings clash with the heavenly being and 4-axis stage cultivators targeting the Twilight Domain. The early integration stage grand cultivator hiding in Sacred Orchid Island. Jean Myeol emerges from his hiding and enters the Twilight Domain. He searches for Yukyo with a fishy smile on his face. While those maggot fools stall for time, I'll find Yukyo and the hostages and take them away. He flies towards the place where he felt Yukyo's presence. Is it here? Kwon. He finds a building and immediately distorts and tears apart the space surrounding it. Inside the building, a trembling Yukyo and a somewhat haggard-looking man who is gently caressing a fried hand are present. Here you are, princess. Let's go together. Ignoring the haggard-looking man, he approaches Yukyo. But in the next moment, chills. Jean Myeol steps back in shock. What was that just now? He suddenly saw a vision of his entire body being fried. Jean Myeol locks eyes with the haggard-looking man, whom he suspects had sent the vision. So, you're the one protecting the hostages? Then, the man who is tenderly caressing the hand suddenly contorts his face into a malevolent, evil spirit. Are you the one who interrupted my time with Sohei? What? You bastard. I'll fry you to death, leaving only your hands. Thus, Jean Myeol collides with the chief law protector of the Wuji religious order. 6 Extremes Ghost King John Myung-hoon clashes with him. Guardian Law Protector Hong Fan and Left Law Protector Kim Yun are monitoring the barrier and observing the situation throughout the entire Twilight Domain from the basement of the Wuji religious hall. At that moment, Hong Fan looks up at the sky. What? What is this? Please stay here for a moment, Hong Fan. With a serious expression, Kim Yun exits the underground of the Wuji religious hall. Kugagugagugu. The sky is changing. What is that? Kim Yun's expression darkens. It's exactly as it seems. the four directions, and the sky above the twilight domain. Hundreds of ships are forming a barrier, pulling in the sea, and enveloping the surroundings. Isn't this seawater said to be a kind of dimension? Recalling information regarding the ancient force realm, Kim Yun bites her lip. Because of those ships, the twilight domain is trapped like a soap bubble due the sea, which is akin to a dimensional canopy. Kim Yun sends a voice transmission to Hong Fan. Hong Fan, please take care of managing and protecting the twilight domain. I will go and destroy that barrier. She knows instinctively. If that barrier is completed, something big will happen. With that, Kim Yun leaps into the sky, reaching out towards the dimensional barrier. And at that moment, Kwon, she squints against the beam of light that came from somewhere. Who is it? Kugugugugugu. She sees a massive warship entering the interior of this dimensional soap bubble. The cannons of the warship are aimed at Kim Yun. She immediately realizes. The owner of that warship. The owner of that warship is the one who created this barrier. Tat. With a burst of pink light, Kim Yun flies towards the hundreds of ships. I must subdue that person. Pat. Her figure stands before the fleet, blocking their advance. On the command ship of the fleet. In the command room of the first Yang ship, the fleet commander, Bu Qianghua, and the left law protector of the Wuji religious order, Kim Yun. Their gazes collide in midair. Chapter 361. Is it not a joy to have friends come from afar? 5. Join the Discord for chapter updates and important news. Chapter 361. Is it not a joy to have friends come from afar? 5. Tung. A man holding a golden blade and a ghost king with 19 heads take a step forward. The man with the golden blade. Kim Young-hoon steadies his breath. The realm he has reached. From the realm referred to by the heart tribe of the bright cold realm as the first step before the throne, the method of combat changes drastically compared to the previous realms. In the days they used to be ordinary peak masters, they used to exchange thousands of moves virtually through well-honed intent, optimizing their movements to strike their opponent within this imaginary bout. But from their current realm onwards, they no longer use such methods. Because it's unnecessary. Tung. Once again, they draw closer. Kim Young-hoon's eyes burn with a golden light, and the eyes of Seo Eun-hyun, from his 19 heads, blaze with a chilling flare. It begins with Kim Young-hoon. He executes a simple horizontal slash, immediately following it with an upward slash, creating a crosscut. A slash that tears through time. But that is just the beginning. A golden storm erupts from him. Every single one is one of Kim Young-hoon's saber strikes. In response, Seo Eun-hyun wields his transparent sword. His sword flows like waves, at times like a storm, countering Kim Young-hoon's golden waves. At their level, there is no need to match imaginary blows, because both have reached a realm where they can realize their imaginations. Quadudaduk. A colorless and gold storm rages, pulverizing a corner of Wuji Religious Hall's roof to dust. Piercing through that storm, Seo Eun-hyun's dark grasp clenches towards Kim Young-hoon. Kim Young-hoon's eyes glint as he swings his saber in the air, scattering golden rays at the Black Hand. The rays seem to repel the Black Hand, extending across the Twilight Domain. In the next moment, countless rays of light from the entire Twilight Domain descend upon Seo Eun-hyun. It's as if innumerable arrows of light are striking the Ghost King of Darkness. Each ray scattered by Kim Young-hoon is a gang sphere, and countless gang spheres imbued with the enlightenment of surpassing radiance pours onto Seo Eun-hyun. Though it appears that Kim Young-hoon is maintaining the upper hand in the first clash, his face remains tense as he twitches his fingers. Some of the gang spheres pouring down on Seo Eun-hyun follow his will, retrieving the demon sabers and devil swords he has scattered on the roof. After confirming that his weapons are back under his control, Kim Young-hoon retreats without hesitation. Dash. In the next moment, something that seems to contain all of heaven's natural colors sweeps through the spot where Kim Young-hoon had stood, moving so fast that even sound can't keep up. He feels goosebumps all over his body and heightens his focus. Then, amidst the baptism of golden radiance, the Ghost King of Darkness emerges with blazing eyes. Boom! Kim Young-hoon senses Seo Eun-hyun disappear in an instant. Record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts. Sharpening his consciousness like a blade, he reads everything around him. In a split second, he senses a movement in the plane of soul and launches his surpassing radiant saber towards it. The all-heavens sword suddenly appears from the void and clashes with the surpassing radiant saber. Kwon. Blood spurts from Kim Young-hoon's 7 orifices. It's the result of focusing solely on defending by letting the force flow through, using a talent that even the word heavenly would not do justice. Gradually, the surroundings darken. Their minds have accelerated to a level where even sound is left far behind. And within the brief instant, akin to a gap in time, Kim Young-hoon makes a swift decision. I can't take it head on. He quickly pulls out a talisman from his bosom and hastily sticks it to his body. His entire body rapidly regenerates. Normally, Kim Young-hoon is a martial artist who enjoys fair and square martial duels, always preferring direct confrontations. This is even more so when facing opponents at the integration level, such as integration stage demon kings or grand cultivators. Each of them is like a small dimension, a subspace with its own will. They are natural disasters, and before them, Kim Young-hoon is like an ant. So how does an ant confront a natural disaster? By reading the flow of the natural disaster, incorporating all its forces into his calculations, and tracing the source of power. Then, with the body of an ant, slashing through the natural disaster to reach and sever the source of power. Natural disasters possess terrifying power, but the ant wielding an iron stick could calculate all the paths and trajectories needed to cut through the disaster, making a miracle possible. However, Kim Young-hoon stares at the monster before him. When facing natural disasters, he would wield a toothpick through the gaps in the natural disaster along the optimal path to confront them. But the opponent before him is no different from a natural disaster wielding all its power within a toothpick at the same level as himself. In a fleeting moment, the all-heavens sword scatters once again. Kim Young-hoon became a streak of light, using all his strength to dodge even the slightest touch of the sword. He finally made up his mind. Fight fairly as a martial duel? Humans might be able to face natural disasters honorably. Even when disasters cover the sky and shake the ground, disasters cannot specifically target humans. Thus, humans can survive and become stronger within them. But what if a natural disaster wearing human skin chases after them to kill? What if a disaster that couldn't originally target insects starts moving like an insect, precisely targeting and persistently chasing after them? Kim Young-hoon steps on the air and moves his body from the sky to the ground of the twilight domain to dodge. Likewise, Seo Eun-hyun closely follows Kim Young-hoon as expected. Boom. He erases the word direct confrontation from his mind. Kim Young-hoon hides between the buildings of the Wuji religious order. He plans to ambush Seo Eun-hyun while moving between the buildings. However, he looks up at the sky for a moment. 3,000 colorless glass swords are shining in the sky, imbued with the all-heavens sword. The swords begin to fall. While desperately dodging the swords with all his might, Kim Young-hoon reads their intention. They're hurting me. And as he dodges the baptism of the all-heavens sword, he meets Seo Eun-hyun's eyes emerging from an alley ahead. Before he has a chance to escape, Seo Eun-hyun raises his right hand. In his hand is a sword containing all of heaven's natural colors. Boom. The next moment, the twilight domain splits in half. This guy, does he not even care if his own territory gets destroyed? Kim Young-hoon, barely dodging Seo Eun-hyun's strike, reached out into the air with a look of disbelief. Kim Young-hoon's collection. Dark Oil Saber, Yinyu Dao, Balancing Wind, Shifeng. Piet. As soon as he grasps the demon saber, a dark aura emanates from it under Kim Young-hoon's will, quickly engulfing the surroundings. When Kim Young-hoon flips the blade of Balancing Wind, the surrounding dark aura begins to shine. The aura imbued with yin energy reverses to yang energy, causing an explosion. Kim Young-hoon and Seo Eun-hyun each take different actions as they watch the explosion in the darkened world. Kim Young-hoon quickly retreats, while Seo Eun-hyun manipulates the colorless glass swords around him to grind down the yang energy induced by Balancing Wind, extinguishing the explosion before looking at Kim Young-hoon. Kuwum. With a single step, Seo Eun-hyun closes the distance on Kim Young-hoon. Kim Young-hoon and Seo Eun-hyun collide. Kugugugugu. Countless rays of light tangle in the frozen time. And within that, Kim Young-hoon's grip bursts multiple times, and his innards are vigorously shaken. Split. He retreats, swallowing blood. Tot. Once again, he takes out a regeneration talisman and sticks it to his body, gritting his teeth and gesturing with his fingers. His gang sphere clone brings him the devil sword hidden gem, Yopu. Once again, Seo Eun-hyun uses the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts. Kim Young-hoon heightens his senses to the brink of overload, barely locating Seo Eun-hyun's position, and slashes upwards with hidden gem. 3. Kim Young-hoon's devil sword hidden gem, imbued with the surpassing radiant saber, and Seo Eun-hyun's colorless glass sword, imbued with the all-heavens sword. The two swords collide, and shockwaves spread in all directions. The nearby buildings of the Wuji religious order are uprooted and thrown in all four directions by the shockwave. This time, Kim Young-hoon does not spurt blood from his orifices. Instead, his devil sword shatters into pieces. Seo Eun-hyun smirks and sends him a heart message. What is this now? A straw stick? Seo Eun-hyun then thrusts the colorless glass sword towards Kim Young-hoon, whose sword has broken. Kim Young-hoon quickly takes out the demon saber, clearing Sunha to block the colorless glass sword. Kwajajik. Once again, Kim Young-hoon's demon saber inevitably shatters, scattering into countless shards. Internally shedding tears of blood, Kim Young-hoon summons numerous demon sabers and devil swords through his sword control technique. The devil sword expansive rock shatters into pieces under Seo Eun-hyun's upward strike. The demon saber ruin is split in half by the horizontal slash of the colorless glass sword. The spirit sword annihilation is bitten and broken by Seo Eun-hyun's mouth while descending. The black saber Starry Night bends like a bow while defending against Seo Eun-hyun's body slam. Kwang. Unable to withstand the impact of the body slam, Kim Young-hoon vomits blood from his entire body as he is thrown into the battlefield of other 4-axis stage cultivators. Seeing his beloved blades being utterly destroyed, he feels as if a house he had bought with his lifetime's worth of retirement savings has been blown up and obliterated by some insane bomber. Tat. Yet, there's no time to even dwell in misery as Seo Eun-hyun starts rushing towards him. Do-do-do-do-do. Kim Young-hoon hastily searches for a regeneration talisman and sticks it on his body before quickly leaping upwards and landing on the shoulder of a starlight giant that is simultaneously confronting 6 cultivators at the 4-axis stage. He then takes out his beloved weapons again. Seo Eun-hyun approaches and extends his hand. His hand, fused with the All-Heavens sword, narrowly grazes the top of Kim Young-hoon's head. Kim Young-hoon throws the extinction sword True Soul to buy time and moves to the starlight giant's knee to dodge. Seo Eun-hyun swats away the extinction sword True Soul with his hand, breaking it like a straw and discarding it. A nearly frozen world. In that space, they fight, using the bodies of other cultivators as terrain. Seo Eun-hyun's sword stretches out across heaven and earth in the 4 directions, trying to trap Kim Young-hoon, while Kim Young-hoon's saber evades his sword like a bird. Kim Young-hoon flows like a river, avoiding the 4-axis cultivators who are attacking the Twilight Domain, and moves outside the barrier of the Twilight Domain. Seo Eun-hyun follows, smashing through the bodies of the frozen 4-axis cultivators, pursuing Kim Young-hoon. Kim Young-hoon grasps the Divided Saber 1 spirit, infusing it with his energy. In an instant, Divided Saber 1 spirit emits light, creating 108 identical clones of Kim Young-hoon. These are intricate clones, on a different level from the Gang Sphere clone. Seo Eun-hyun moves the All-Heavens sword. Chwerarara. Like a hedgehog revealing its quills, spikes of light shoot out from around Seo Eun-hyun. Puff, puff, puff. The sword strike that had killed a 4-axis stage cultivator in one blow now shatters Kim Young-hoon's clones. Taking advantage of this gap, the real Kim Young-hoon focuses his mind. This time, he doesn't use a devil's sword or demon saber. He solely sharpens his consciousness and takes a stance. In this fleeting moment, with his mind composed, Kim Young-hoon's eyes burn. His heart essence compresses like a line. Single strike of the first step before the throne. Tot. Re-entering the depths of the Twilight Domain, Kim Young-hoon takes his stance, drawing on a lifetime's worth of concentration with the taut intensity of a bowstring holding an arrow. Kwajik. As Seo Eun-hyun shatters Kim Young-hoon's last clone, their eyes meet. Seo Eun-hyun's 38 eyes burn with ghost fire, and Kim Young-hoon's eyes burn with a golden radiance. In the dark, still world, their gazes cross, and in the next moment, Seo Eun-hyun sees a golden pung bird charging at him, and Kim Young-hoon sees the 3 great ultimates rising behind Seo Eun-hyun. A flash of light, and a moment later, Seo Eun-hyun becomes the sword. His heart essence also compresses, becoming the single strike of the first step before the throne. The sword that Seo Eun-hyun has become rushes at Kim Young-hoon, smashing the pung bird and reaching right in front of him. However, the next moment, Seo Eun-hyun locks eyes with Kim Young-hoon, who has taken the stance for continuous strikes. Kim Young-hoon smiles in the darkness. Boom. Seo Eun-hyun flinches. He can understand up to continuous strikes, but he knows this is a triple consecutive strike. Kwajajik. Within the continuous single strikes, Seo Eun-hyun succeeds in destroying the pung bird, but he can't help but show a gap by the 3rd continuous first step before the thrown single strike. Kwadudaduk. Kim Young-hoon's all-out slash pierces Seo Eun-hyun's opening. A golden wound is left on Seo Eun-hyun's body. Yet, Kim Young-hoon does not continue to attack Seo Eun-hyun, but retreats with all his might. It's shallow. It isn't that Kim Young-hoon slashed carelessly, nor had Seo Eun-hyun leaked any power. It's simply the all-heavens sword flowing through his body, that bizarre circuit, his naturally thick skin, the protective body force of his late 4-axis stage cultivation, and among other factors, that prevented Kim Young-hoon's blade from properly penetrating. As Kim Young-hoon quickly retreats, he notices those who move slowly even in the still world where he and Seo Eun-hyun reside. The 6-armed god, scattering lightning from his entire body, and the notorious pirate Captain Jean Mayol, swinging his chained sickle while using a semi-transparent stealth technique. The two grand cultivators at the integration stage are moving, albeit slowly, even in Kim Young-hoon and Seo Eun-hyun's world. Kim Young-hoon climbs onto the shoulder of the six-armed giant, taking a moment to catch his breath, and grits his teeth. I need to steady my breath. 0.1 seconds. That is enough. But in their world, that amount of time is enormous, and Kim Young-hoon decides he needs to briefly hide. His gaze turns to the sea circle formed by the Buk-hyang fleet, a dimensional barrier formed by the sea of the ancient force realm. I'll step out briefly to catch my breath. He makes a quick decision and looks at Seo Eun-hyun. Kugugugugu. Seo Eun-hyun, with the three great ultimates on the back of his head, is rushing towards Kim Young-hoon at an insane speed. In the next moment, Kim Young-hoon launches a slash at Seo Eun-hyun. Becoming a streak of light, he flies towards the sea circle. Kwon. The flying Seo Eun-hyun directly tears through Kim Young-hoon's slash, but loses control of his speed, colliding with John Myung-hoon and bursting the upper part of the giants apart. Now, Kim Young-hoon's eyes shine as he sees Seo Eun-hyun apologizing to John Myung-hoon for a lengthy 0.01 seconds. Pot. His speed increases. Compressing his heart essence once more, he overlays his body with the single strike of first step before the throne. At some point, he reaches a place where neither light nor sound can touch him, finally feeling the dimension below his feet. Woo-woo. He moves faster and faster until his physical body transcends the plane for an instant. Kim Young-hoon moves in the distant void. Pat it. Finally, Kim Young-hoon returns to reality. He is outside the sea circle formed by the Buk-hyang fleet. Catching his breath, he takes out his treasured weapons and a regeneration talisman, sticking them all over his body. The sea circle formed by the Buk-hyang fleet is literally a barrier using dimensions. It's a state similar to several grand cultivators' domains overlapping, making it almost impossible to simply exit. Only by becoming so fast that one momentarily transcends dimensions like Kim Young-hoon could one overcome this insurmountable wall. And just as Kim Young-hoon is about to leisurely catch his breath for 0.1 seconds, Kwon. The sea domain shakes as Seo Eun-hyun smashes through a corner of the sea circle. The three great ultimates are spinning furiously behind him, and Kim Young-hoon stares at Seo Eun-hyun in a daze. Was it really supposed to just pop open like that? Momentarily letting out a hollow laugh, Kim Young-hoon stops catching his breath and readies for battle once more. Wing. Grabbing the demon's sword, Kirin, Kim Young-hoon draws upon its power. For just an instant, I'll increase the weapon's lifespan. He fiercely spins his thoughts, creating a new martial art to overcome this situation. TSTSTSTST. His eyes follow Seo Eun-hyun, tracing Seo Eun-hyun's circuits. Just like the circuits covering Seo Eun-hyun's entire body, something resembling veins of golden light begin to spread through the devil sword he holds. It's fundamentally different from something like the external inner core. It's a martial art that mimics the characteristics of the opponent he is fighting, elevating the weapon's potential by another level. Of course, Seo Eun-hyun's circuits have countless functions such as recovery, defense, attack, amplification, stealth, tracking, and cleanliness, but Kim Young-hoon can only imitate one function. Since it's impossible to perfectly mimic the circuits developed by a genius like the Mad Lord after seeing it only once, the function he copies is only one. The function to amplify the weapon's performance. Quadaduk. The demon's sword begins to tremble. Simultaneously, the energy of the sword grows even denser. Kim Young-hoon feels his chest burn. My precious collection. Unlike Seo Eun-hyun's circuits, which have no side effects when used, the veins engraved through this martial art has a drawback. The amplification through these veins burn the weapon's potential, rendering it unusable after a single attack. Kim Young-hoon wields the amplified demon's sword, imbued with the enlightenment of surpassing radiance, towards Seo Eun-hyun. Kwon. The shockwave reverberates, twisting the deep sea of the nearby sea domain. However, for the first time, Kim Young-hoon, who has consistently had his blade shattered and been pushed back, manages to withstand Seo Eun-hyun's single strike. Though these are infamous devil swords and demon sabers known throughout the sea domain, only by drawing out all their potential and causing them to go berserk can he block Seo Eun-hyun's single strike. Gripping the evil saber grief, he unleashes its potential once more and swings from the upper left to the lower right, while Seo Eun-hyun counters from the lower left with the All Heavens sword overlaying his bare hands. Kim Young-hoon recalls his memories with his beloved weapons. Snatched from an integration stage cultivator, the natal dharma treasure of a grand cultivator, the evil sword grief. The ancient demon sword dazzling light, found in an underground labyrinth. The precious ghost sword supreme Evi, found in the embrace of an integration-level deep-sea monster. The devil sword sacred axes, forged from the axes of 1,000 4-axis stage cultivators. These distinguished blades, which would make even integration stage cultivators drool over them, are being grinded down before Xiao Unhyun. But regardless, by grinding down his blades, he is managing to put up something resembling a fight against Xiao Unhyun. Of course, in return, his strength is rapidly depleting. Spurt. He clenches his teeth, squeezing out his meridians. Despite being a life-or-death situation, a smile never leaves his lips. Yes, I've already known. Though it's hard to discern heart essence when reaching this realm, some parts can still be seen to some extent. Hence, even though he was suspicious of the monster in front of him, he had somewhat figured out that it was Xiao Unhyun from the start. However, he deliberately provoked him because he wanted to have a sincere spar. Has it been 200 years since I met this guy? Though he thought himself a genius, he can feel himself becoming humble upon seeing him. Reaching the 4-axis stage as a heaven tribe. Reaching the 4-axis stage as an earth tribe. Moreover, it's not even the early stage but the late stage, with attraction force and power. Even his martial arts have reached the same level as his. Just what kind of monster is this? That must be a real genius. Kim Young-hoon feels humbled, grinding down all his possessions to continually clash with Xiao Unhyun. And before long, he notices the demon sabers within his reach gradually diminishing. Damn, I'm squandering my entire fortune in a single duel. Tuong. His and Xiao Unhyun's sword clash for a moment. There is a slight pause between them, and Kim Young-hoon's eyes light up. I have to end it with this strike. TZZTZZTZT. He pulls out his most cherished beloved weapon, which he had kept hidden until the very last moment of last moments. The name of the beloved weapon is Radiant Saber, Huidao, Ryan, Lin Wheel. Though it has less fame compared to the notorious devil swords and demon sabers, it's a saber Kim Young-hoon had taken from a Grand Perfection Integration Stage Grand Cultivator, possessing the most suitable ability for him. The ability of Radiant Blade Ryan is simple. Regardless of the user, it triples the wielder's speed for 1 second. His heart essence compresses once more. Noticing Kim Young-hoon's momentum, Xiao Unhyun also begins to compress his heart essence. Ying. The 3 great ultimates behind him begin to shine brilliantly. The next moment, Pasak. Xiao Unhyun's eyes light up, and finally, his dragon form disguise method is released. Holding the All-Heavens sword, he begins to perform a sword dance. It's a sword dance imbued with the single strikes of the first step before the throne. Normally, the single strike of the Heart Tribe's first step before the throne consumes all the user's energy and focus. Thus, most of the Heart Tribe would be in a near-death state after using single strike until they become accustomed to it. But what happens when the Heaven Tribe and Earth Tribe rise to the first step before the throne? Through their unique recovery abilities and the endless absorption of energy through celestial energy guidance, they can recover in an instant even if they reach a near-death state. Therefore, thanks to their unique recovery abilities and life force, the Heaven and Earth Tribes can execute the single strike of first step before the throne several times, unlike the Heart Tribe. Then, what about Xiao Unhyun, who possesses the cultivation of Heaven, Earth, and Puppet? Xiao Unhyun prepares the Severing Mountain swordsmanship's ultimate move, Severing Mountain, a strike that bombards the opponent with over 20 techniques, causing an explosion. Pat it. Kim Young-hoon vanishes into the beam of light, and in an instant, a Pung bird appears. Xiao Unhyun unfolds his 8 wings. The body of Starlight and the puppet's circuit vibrate. He covers his entire body with the hazy mist of the canvas of myriad forms and connections. I can feel it. It's clear to him. He can feel that the Kim Young-hoon before his eyes also intends to deliver his final strike, having fully accelerated his saber. He must also be pouring all his power into each move used in Saber Tomb to confront me. Xiao Unhyun smiles. How about this time? Will he be able to properly surpass Kim Young-hoon this time? No, that's not it. Xiao Unhyun believes in his own martial arts that he has been training until now. He believes in the history of his endless practice. He believes in the ill fate that endlessly showered misfortune upon him, but ultimately saved him. His sword resounds. From the profound realization of the 22nd move, Severing Mountain, more were added with later enlightenments. Endless mountains beyond mountains, which ensures the momentum never changes. Foolish Old Man moves mountains, which not only maintains the momentum, but increases it. Sea of Righteousness and Mountain of Grace, which unifies enlightenment. One Annihilation to the near shore, which explodes power from the Sea of Righteousness and Mountain of Grace, guiding to the summit, which reverses the opponent's strength. 12,000 Peaks, the pinnacle of the sword formation. Boundless Tao to the other shore, which gathers and releases all the power of One Annihilation to the near shore. And Deep Mountain, Emerging Tao, which moves the sword from a higher plane to a lower plane, increasing the sword force. All the history and fate of his martial path, that he arduously crawled up with his limited talent, bursts forth from his hands. His opponent is the incarnation of true martial arts, Jinwu. Sabertomb, a golden pung bird and the history of a slow-witted dullard clash in the sky. Severing mountain, and the entire sea domain trembles. The light subsides. Kim Young-hoon, covered in blood, looks at his beloved blade with trembling hands. The saber he had saved until the very end of very ends. The demon sword specialized for speed. Radiant saber Ryan. Except for the hilt, the blade is gone. He looks around. He is on top of some deep-sea monster's corpse. It seems the deep-sea monster was caught up and killed in the fight between Seo Eun-hyun and Kim Young-hoon. Its entire body is shredded with sword and blade marks. It appears to be a kind of mimic monster that reads memories and mimics them as illusions, as countless crude illusions are rising from the corpse of the deep-sea monster. The illusions form forests and mountains. Maybe because the deep-sea monster primarily mimicked mountainous demon beasts, the emerging illusions are of huge cliffs, great mountains, and peaks. Kim Young-hoon lets out a hollow laugh. His voice doesn't come out well, but he squeezes it out and speaks the words he intends to say. Your victory. Seo Eun-hyun. Having finished his words, Kim Young-hoon collapses forward at the feet of Seo Eun-hyun, who is holding the colorless glass sword before him. Despite his defeat, despite having lost all his cherished weapons and wealth, his expression isn't bad at all. I was too reliant on external objects. Yes, thanks to you, I could grasp the clue to the next realm. With that, he falls asleep with a smile amidst countless illusions of great mountains. Gasping for breath, I place the colorless glass sword into my storage scroll with trembling hands. I don't even have the energy to store it within the Dan fire. Though all the volcanic power in my body has been completely drained, I don't care. I won. I defeated him. That is enough. I collapse onto the corpse of the grotesque creature. I need to stop them. Far away, I look at the battle unfolding in the twilight domain with a hollow laugh. Energy is returning to my body again, but I can't intervene immediately. It will take around half the time it takes to drink a cup of tea for my body to recover. TL/N. The time to drink a cup of tea is 15 minutes, but it is also used to express a short time. Well, still they won't lose. My faith in my comrades is not shallow, and I have no worries that they will get overrun by the thugs of the ancient force realm. The only concern is Kim Yun, who is engaged in a massive battle far away, charging towards the enormous command ship while being bombarded by the surrounding fleet. I'm going crazy if either of them gets hurt while fighting. I take a deep breath, but there's nothing I can do right now. Desperately, I send a brief command via voice transmission to Hong Fan and collapse on the spot. Though the monster's corpse is buoyant, countless illusions surround Kim, Young-hoon, and me. One illusion is of an old man with a flower basket approaching within 1 zhang, 3m. Other illusions include a bizarre seagull demon practicing martial arts, a muscular giant kissing his muscles, a strange monk with one eye covered by an eye patch looking for someone with a cough. All kinds of illusions based on the memories of various beings are floating in the air. Seeing these illusions, I look up at the sky of the ancient force realm. The sky where celestial energy cannot be read. The world of the Earth tribe. The land is history. Someone had once told me that. I reach my hand towards the sky and smile. In the world of history, the history of my martial arts has finally won against the incarnation of true martial arts. My martial arts have not been in vain. Chapter 362. Is it not a joy to have friends come from afar? 6. Join the Discord for chapter updates and important news. Chapter 362. Is it not a joy to have friends come from afar? 6. Jean Miol frowns as he faces the man stroking a hand, the chief law protector of the Wuji religious order, John Myung-hoon. He feels a subtle attraction force emanating from the man before him. Integration stage, huh? However, Jean Myul is not worried. Judging by how poorly he controls his domain, he must be a rookie who only recently reached the integration stage. There's nothing to worry about. Surung. He draws out his natal Dharma treasure, tearing Fisher chain sickle, Feng, and envelopes his entire body in his domain. Chwarang, Chwarang. He grips the black chain sickle inscribed with jade-colored spell characters, and as he recites an invocation, his form becomes semi-transparent. Overlaying his domain with space, he can become invisible at any time and redirect his opponent's attacks elsewhere. This is his unique technique. Jean Mayol hurls his tearing Fisher chain sickle at John Myung-hoon. Rookies in the early integration stage lose their minds if their domain is cracked. Just as the tearing Fisher chain sickle, moving at the speed of light, is about to reach John Myung-hoon. Quadragigic. Jean Mayol realizes something is wrong. This is the sky? Why am I flying? And, before he can finish his thoughts, a six-armed giant, coursing with red lightning, appears above him. In the six-armed giant's hand is a seven-colored lightning bolt. Wait. Quadragigic. Jean Mayol is slammed into the ground, vomiting blood. As something is wrong. Wrong. Kook. As soon as he regains his senses, he hastily rolls away to avoid John Myung-hoon, who is falling from above. Kwang. John Myung-hoon slams his 6 arms into the ground, and Jin Myul moves back before wielding his chain sickle. But then it happens. Kugugugugu. What? Suddenly, the ground tilts. Through his consciousness domain, Jin Myul realizes what's happening. The sky island of the ghostly creatures. It's splitting in half. Kugugugugu. From behind, he senses some things colliding at speeds too fast for the eye to see. And amidst the gap, he glimpses a flash of golden radiance and grits his teeth. It's that thief. The one who stole my natal Dharma treasure last time. Crack. He can never forget that astonishing speed. The comrade of the Conqueror King who stole his cherished nurturing saber, your doll, blood fruit, Shedok. He glances at the something fighting on par with the thief, thinking, seeing that thief fighting on equal terms, he must have drawn my beloved saber that he stole from me. I should seize the opportunity to take back my natal Dharma treasure. Just as he concludes his thoughts, crimson-red lightning streaks towards him. Kwang. However, an explosion erupts instantly. John Myung-hoon flinches, glaring at Jin Myul, who has blocked his lightning. In Jin Myul's right hand is his Dharma treasure, tearing Fisher chain sickle, and in his left hand, his bones, flesh, and muscles have formed a grotesque sword. I apologize. I underestimated you, thinking you were just a rookie at the early integration stage. But it seems you've mastered quite a unique method, your strength likely reaching mid or late stage. Grinning, Jin Myul speaks. I'll take you seriously. Kugugugugu. An overwhelming aura emanates from his entire body. And while it's only for a brief, fleeting moment, John Myung-hoon feels the same chilling sensation he had once felt from Seo Eun-hyun. Fighting steps, Dobu. Second realm, Drjik. His grotesque sword is overlaid by his domain. The next instant, Jin Myul folds space and rushes to John Myung-hoon's face. Kwajajik. John Myung-hoon's lightning spear collides with Jin Myul's grotesque sword, causing an explosion. John Myung-hoon looks at his tingling hand. You bastard, that move? It's a type of fighting dance learned in the traditional rituals of the fighting ghost race. Once you reach a certain level, you can. Boom. Once again, Jin Myul charges at John Myung-hoon, swinging his grotesque sword. John Myung-hoon blocks with his lightning spear, but the grotesque sword bends grotesquely like Seo Eun-hyun's formless sword, scratching his body. John Myung-hoon frowns. He can see the trajectory of Jin Myul's sword with his lightning-sharp vision. The sword moves as if alive, connected to Jin Myul's body, and changes its path every instant in the air. Reading each and every air current in the empty space, it makes the optimal choice every moment. John Myung-hoon looks at Jin Myul with annoyance and grits his teeth. You remind me of an annoying person. Haha, so what? I thought of frying you for fun, but I've changed my mind. Kwajik, Kwajajijik. The 7-colored lightning swirling around John Myung-hoon's 6 arms begin to merge into a single color. Pure red lightning. Jin Myul senses something is amiss. I will crush you with all my might. Kwajajijik. John Myung-hoon extends his 6 arms, launching lightning spears in all directions. Kurururum. The red lightning rides and pursues Jin Myul. Kwajajijik. One of the lightning spears eventually pierces Jin Myul's torso, causing him to froth at the mouth in excruciating pain. Damn it. I need to escape his attack range. Tot. Jin Myul hurriedly exits the Twilight Domain. Having faced the Conqueror King's fleet several times before, Jin Myul judges it best to confront John Myung-hoon near the sea circle of the Bukyang fleet. However, he soon realizes his judgment is wrong. You fool. To leave the Twilight Domain on your own. Kwajajijik. John Myung-hoon's body swells even more. An overwhelming amount of lightning surges within him. Jin Myul's face turns pale. This lunatic. That wasn't his full power. And then, John Myung-hoon begins to press Jin Myul hard. Jin Myul tries to resist John Myung-hoon's lightning. In terms of overall combat ability, skills, and combat experience at the integration stage, Jin Myul is superior, and having reached the 2nd realm of fighting steps, his instantaneous reaction speed is also above John Myung-hoon. But he grits his teeth. Even though I'm superior in experience, skill, and reaction speed, I'm losing purely by raw power. Kwajajijik. Feeling his domain getting torn apart by the waterfall of lightning spewed by John Myung-hoon, his eyes tremble. It ends with this. Pajajik. After unleashing the lightning waterfall, John Myung-hoon gathers his 6 arms and begins to form a single red lightning spear. Jin Myul's face turns pale, and in the next moment, Kwang. A golden light flickers, and suddenly, the Ghost King, who is considered the leader of the ghostly creatures, flies in and bursts John Myung-hoon's upper body apart. Kwalak. Seo Eun-hyun. John Myung-hoon roars, his voice filled with rage. In John Myung-hoon's vision, Seo Eunhyun's 19-headed figure appears for 0.01 seconds. Seo Eunhyun's silhouette seems to be saying something to him, but it's too brief for John Myung-hoon to understand. Then, using John Myung-hoon's body as a springboard, Seo Eunhyun flies toward the sea circle formed by the Buk-hyang fleet. Kwon. One corner of the sea circle, unfolded through the dimensional canopy, is blown open. John Myung-hoon cries out for Seo Eunhyun with resentment, while Jin Mi-yeol stares blankly at the breach Seo Eunhyun created in the sea circle. The notorious Conqueror fleet's deep sea barrier. Was it so easily broken? He shakes his head in disbelief. Indeed, what a monstrous being. I'm fortunate to not have faced it directly. With his thoughts concluded, Jin Mi-yeol swings his tearing fisher-chain sickle and grotesque sword at John Myung-hoon, who is hastily regenerating his body. The battle, which seemed to favor John Myung-hoon momentarily, is once again evenly matched due to Seo Eunhyun's intervention. Kim Yun's first thought when she sees Buk-hyang is simple. For some reason, I don't like the look of her. However, despite this thought, her judgment is swift. I can't let them complete the barrier. I need to capture that commander right now. Sururung. 8 throwing knives flow down from Kim Yun's hand. As a faint pink radiance glimmers on the throwing knives connected to her consciousness threads, they are swung towards Buk-hyang. The pink slash flies towards Buk-hyang. But then, Kwon. 2 second Hyang ships, escorting the first Hyang ship that Buk-hyang is aboard, fires their cannons and shatters Kim Yun's slash. Kim Yun's eyes glint. What? How could they block my attack with just those meager Dharma treasures? Feeling something strange, Kim Yun launches another slash, and then uses the flying escape technique to attempt a body slam towards Buk-hyang. But once again, cannon fire rains down on Kim Yun, and she finally realizes. Kwon. As she is pushed back by the fleet's bombardment, Kim Yun glares at the barrier formed by the deep sea that's unfolded in the sky. This barrier is weakening everyone facing these ships while enhancing the fleet's attacks. Kim Yun's eyes glow with pink brilliance as she glares at Buk-hyang. If I fight within this barrier, the damage will be great. I need to get outside and fight. And just as she thinks this, Kwon, an enormous explosion resounds, and a large hole is blown in the sea circle formed by the Buk-hyang fleet. It's been 5 seconds since the battle began. Oh my, the path has opened. A smile spreads across Kim Yun's face, while Buk-hyang face is filled with shock. No, my sea circle. Kim Yun smirks as she swiftly uses the flying escape technique, brushing past Jin Mi-yeol and John Myung-hoon to exit beyond the sea circle. She then turns her gaze towards the 4th Hyang ships maintaining the barrier from the north, south, east, west, and above, and charges straight at them. As she is about to strike the 4th Hyang ships, the 1st Hyang ship and the Buk-hyang fleet, which had previously entered the sea circle, come out and aim their cannons at Kim Yun. But Kim Yun laughs. Kwon. The cannons fire directly at Kim Yun, but she laughs. What is that all? It doesn't hurt. There's absolutely no damage at all. Outside the sea circle, Kim Yun has no reason to be pushed back by the Buk-hyang fleet. Buk-hyang face hardens, while Kim Yun's face brightens with joy. The next moment, Kwon. 7 seconds after the battle began, Seo Eunhyun and Kim Young-hoon clash in a battle far off in the sea, causing the entire sea domain to tremble. Using the shockwave as a signal, Kim Yun charges towards the Buk-hyang fleet. With a hardened face, Buk-hyang forms hand seals. In response to her seals, the puppets aboard the 1st Hyang ship move busily, waving white flags. 2nd Fleet, 6th and 10th Squadrons, all ships switch to Plan Yule. Position 3 2nd Hyang ships each to the port and starboard sides of the 1st Hyang ship, and to the stern, with the bodies of 3rd Hyang ships. 4th Hyang ships are to support the Sea Master, Haiju, from Sea Chwerarak. The Buk-hyang fleet moves in perfect unison, bombarding Kim Yun as they form a formation. The 2nd Hyang ships flank to the left and right of the 1st Hyang ship, and the 3rd Hyang ships line up behind, forming a snake-like shape. The Buk-hyang fleet float in the air like a gigantic serpent in the shape of the character Yule, confronting Kim Yun. Clank, clank, clank. Numerous ships connect, beginning to interlock with each other. Simultaneously, the Buk-hyang fleet, which individually was only at the heavenly being level, transforms into a colossal serpent-shaped puppet, with its aura rising to the early 4-axis stage. Chwerarak. The serpent of ships moves in the air, encircling Kim Yun. The cannons all aim at Kim Yun and begin coordinated bombardment. Kim Yun endures the bombardment head-on with her bare body and flies towards the body of the serpent that surrounds her. Despite the concentrated fire, it's insufficient to penetrate the protective gang chi enveloping her entire body. Finally, Kim Yun succeeds in attaching herself to one of the 3rd Hyang ships that forms part of the serpent's body. Witnessing this, Bu Qianghua makes a swift decision without hesitation. 437th, third, Yang ship, detach from body. Self-destruct. Clank, clank. The part of the serpent's body connected to the designated third Yang ship is severed, and the few crew members on the ship evacuate. Kim Yun senses explosive energy surging inside the third Yang ship. However, her expression remains calm. Sutsutsu. The wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon activates. Kim Yun recalls the voice of the Mad Lord echoing in her ears. Although he is a madman, he would regain his sanity with remarkable clarity whenever he taught about puppetry. Listen carefully, my disciple. My wonderfully mysterious fortress, as well as this circuit and all my creations, are fundamentally superior to any mechanical device that exists in this world. Unless they are a puppeteer at true immortality, sacred vessel, or entering nirvana, no one can create a puppet superior to mine. Hee. Words that seem arrogant at first. But Kim Yun, who has witnessed the Mad Lord's techniques closer than anyone else, understands. All puppets that exist in this world, created by mortals, are fundamentally inferior to my puppets. They are nothing more than primitive mechanical toys equipped with crude puppet techniques. Yes, the vast majority of mortal techniques in this world are inferior versions of the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Do you understand what this means? The Mad Lord's arrogance is not overconfidence, but genuine confidence. With the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon and my circuits I taught you, you can easily suppress and seize control of the inferior puppets of other lowly puppeteers. Today, I have captured a 4-axis stage puppeteer for you to practice on. Kim Yun's wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon penetrates the various parts of the third Yang ship, forming the same configuration as the Mad Lord's circuits. Kim Yun sighs. Well, it's not as incompetent as he claimed. Though it is indeed inferior compared to the wonderfully mysterious fortress, it's still a significant technological marvel. No, rather than being a mere inferior version, it feels like it has evolved in a different direction. Nonetheless, she isn't worried at all. After all, her circuits have already seized control of the third Yang ship. Keying. The self-destruct command for the third Yang ship is halted. Kim Yun, having taken control of the third Yang ship, locks eyes with the bewildered Bu Qianghua. Well then, here I come. Kagugugu. Using her own spiritual power as the energy source, the third Yang ship flies in as if it's on a rampage, ramming its bow into the nearby members of the Bu Qiang fleet. Quam. Simultaneously, the interlocking components between the third Yang ship and the rest of the Bu Qiang fleet snaps into place, connecting it to the other ships. Kim Yun's eyes gleam as she begins taking control of the Bu Qiang fleet through the third Yang ship. Watching this from the command room of the first Yang ship, Bu Qianghua's expression twists slightly. In my creations, what are you doing to them? Chijijijik. As her emotions intensify, 3 colored patterns emerge on her face. Unlike when she was in the head realm, her patterns have evolved, with 2 of the 3 colors now partially blended. Grinding her teeth, Bu Qianghua manipulates several devices in the command center. Simultaneously, the command room detaches from the first Yang ship, transforming into a spider-shaped puppet. Commander, what are you doing? Commander, please calm down. The frantic shouts of the Bu Qiang fleet's crew pour towards the command room, but the crazed Bu Qianghua ignores them. Do-do-do-do-do. The spider puppet she is riding quickly descends the serpent's body created by the Bu Qiang fleet. Reaching the Bu Qiang fleet, Kim Yun has taken over. Bu Qianghua's hands begin to move. Clank, clank, clank. The patterns on her face glow intensely. Her hands move faster and faster. Kugugugugu. Countless devices spring from the legs of the spider puppet, dismantling and modifying the Bu Qiang fleet in real time at Bu Qianghua's command. In an instant, the command system of one ship is altered, and the ship controlled by Kim Yun has its command authority reset. Bu Qianghua swiftly inputs herself as the new command authority, quickly reclaiming the ships seized by Kim Yun. Finally, Bu Qianghua's spider puppet lands on the third Yang ship, where Kim Yun is. Kim Yun smirks. Oh my, what confidence do you have to come all the way down here? I think I can take control of that puppet too. You should not insult my creations. More than that, please get off my ship now. I don't want to. We're in the middle of a battle. What nonsense are you spouting? Ugh, as fellow puppeteers, should we not fight fairly with puppets? Kim Yun scoffs at her words. Well, my master might have responded to your words, but not me. Truthfully, I have no pride in being a puppeteer, and I hate my puppeteer master. I thought this since I first saw you, but you're really rude. The two glare at each other. What's your name? When I capture and modify you later, I'll make sure to specially call the magic artifact your living name. Mysterious Bizarre Ghost King, Kim Yun. And yours? Conqueror King, Bu Qianghua. Kim Yun, huh? You have an unnecessarily good name, don't you? Ahaha. You better pray I don't catch you as well. If I do, I'll turn you into something like General Book. Anyway, I learned well from my master how to make living puppets, so I can probably make something good. I'd rather self-destruct than be captured and modified by you, who has no pride as a puppeteer and no personal puppets. But if you get captured by me, I'll turn you into a far superior magic artifact or ship, so no need to worry. The two puppeteers stare at each other for a moment, then quickly move their hands. Boom! Kim Yun slashes, and Buk Hyangwa urgently inputs commands. C pillar, Haijo. Activate. Quagwagwagwa. Kururum. The slash splits Buk Hyangwa's spider puppet in half. In the next moment, the fourth Hyang ships preparing a formation on the deep sea surface manipulates the sea to create a massive pillar. The dimensional pillar, resembling a water column, shoots up into the sky and strikes the third Hyang ship, where Buk Hyangwa and Kim Yun are. Kim Yun squints and looks around. In an instant, her surroundings warped, and she realizes she has entered a strange alternate dimension. Countless scenes shatter like glass and scatter around her. Is this the depths of the deep sea? In front of her is Buk Hyangwa, riding the broken spider puppet. Kim Yun smirks. You've used some tricks, but so what? You and I are in the same situation. Kim Yun takes a step forward, but at the same time, the space distorts, and the distance between her and Buk Hyangwa widens. Buk Hyangwa's voice echoes from afar. It seems you're not accustomed to the ancient force realm. Ho-ho, in the deep sea of the ancient force realm, you can't move properly unless you're at a cultivation realm that can control attraction force. Huh, you cheeky thing. Don't worry, I remember your position. I can follow you anywhere. However, Buk Hyangwa, who is listening to Kim Yun's words, merely laughs as she dismounts from the spider puppet. Try to follow me then. Woo-woo. She pulls out a shining ore from her storage scroll. Holding 10 ancient stones in her hand, Buk Hyangwa crushes them all. Pat it. Simultaneously, Buk Hyangwa's figure vanishes, leaving Kim Yun looking bewildered. Chua. Buk Hyangwa catches her breath on a nearby third Hyang ship. Kugugugugu. The technique of moving the deep sea of the ancient force realm to create a water pillar and trap the opponent in the depths. Sea pillar. The giant water pillar sinks back into the deep sea. Kim Yun, who was sucked into it, disappears without a trace. Since it's probably her first time in the ancient force realm, she most likely wouldn't have ancient stones. Buk Hyangwa understands the terror of the deep sea. In the shallow depths of the deep sea, one can escape even without ancient stones if they can control attraction force and have coordinates on the surface. But her opponent is at most at the heavenly being stage, has no ancient stones, and is new to the deep sea of the ancient force realm, so she wouldn't have coordinates. Buk Hyangwa uses the flying escape technique to return to the first Hyang ship. Messages are pouring in from all directions. Commander, we thought something terrible happened. Please, Commander, don't do such reckless things. Buk Hyangwa waves her hand as if to reassure them with a slight smile. Sorry, everyone, but for some reason, I really didn't like the look of that woman. I just felt like I had to get rid of her somehow. Now, let's continue with the rescue CO RAN operation. Having lost the spider puppet-shaped command room, she heads to the temporary command room of the first Hyang ship, and it's when she arrives at the temporary command room. ZZZZT. Commander, there's a strange spell on your body. Please check it. The artifacts in the temporary command room activate, emitting light towards her body. Simultaneously, Buk Hyangwa notices a white thread-like object attached to her arm. This is a consciousness thread, just as she is about to identify whose consciousness thread it is. Quajajajajajal. Space tears open, and delicate jade-like hands grab Buk Hyangwa's arm. And from its depths, Kim Yun's face emerges with her eyes burning with ferocious pink flames. Chijajijik. You weren't at the heavenly being stage. Abandon the prejudice that heavenly beings can't handle attraction force. Kim Yun grins and covers Buk Hyangwa's mouth, as expected of Un Hyun Appa. Using the power of the vast cold heavenly circle rotating fiercely in her dantian, Kim Yun emits attraction force and laughs. Now then, Hyangwa, I'll give you one last chance. Dispel the barrier you've set up in the Twilight Domain immediately. Kim Yun points at the sea circle that still surrounds the Twilight Domain, even regenerating the part that CO Un Hyun had broken through. When Kim Yun momentarily releases her hold on Buk Hyangwa's mouth, Buk Hyangwa's eyes gleam as she shouts, Sea Turmoil, activate. First Hyang ship, self-destruct. Kugugugugu. The first Hyang ship the two women are on begins to shake wildly, and at the same time, the water level of the deep sea beneath the Twilight Domain begins to rise. The deep sea starts rising towards the Twilight Domain surrounded by the sea circle, and Kim Yun glares fiercely at Buk Hyangwa. Sea pillar, reactivate. Target is the first Hyang ship. From the deep sea below, signs of another water pillar forming becomes evident. Kim Yun covers Buk Hyangwa's mouth again and begins infusing her consciousness into her. Book Hyanghua's pupils start to shake. Kim Yun speaks as she invades Book Hyanghua's mind with the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon. Even if I have to control your body, I will stop it. Book Hyanghua's pupils roll back, and her entire body begins to tremble. And then, at that moment, tack! Someone grabs Kim Yun's wrist. Her face lights up with joy. A man dressed in white robes appears between them. Eunhyun Appa. Co Eunhyun looks at both of them with tired eyes. That's enough, Yuna. Let's just keep her as a captive for now. Yes. Kim Yun stops infusing her consciousness into Book Hyangwa and restrains her solely with a spell. I let out a sigh, swiftly using the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon to seize control of the ship and prevent it from self-destructing. I then maneuver the ship to avoid the water column rising from below. If I was just a bit late, it could have been a disaster. I told Hong Fan to stop them if they looked like they were about to kill each other, but Hong Fan seems preoccupied with rejoining the twilight domain that I split in half. At least my body recovered quickly. I almost had to witness Kim Yun presenting Book Hyangwa transformed into a General Book. I send a voice transmission to the entire Book Hyang fleet, which has transformed into a snake-like puppet. Your commander has been captured. Cease raising the water level of the deep sea and deactivate the sea barrier. However, despite my transmission, the Book Hyang fleet does not deactivate the barrier, and the water level inside continues to rise. And as soon as my voice transmission echoes, the Book Hyang fleet begins bombarding the first Hyang ship instead. Boom, thud, thud. I deflect all the bombardments with my attraction force and sigh. Examining Book Hyangwa's soul, there's a passageway connected to a distant space. Come to think of it, Song Jin must have prepared a separate means for her to resurrect. Considering the revival methods of the Black Ghost Valley, it seems the Book Hyang fleet decided it's better to kill the captured Book Hyangwa and revive her in a safe place separately. Or perhaps Book Hyangwa herself had given such instructions in case she was captured. These bastards. Kim Yun is furious, but I calm her down and take a big sigh as I head to the bow of the ship. Chwerararak. White grain-like spiritual energy floats around me. I send another voice transmission to Hong Fan. Hong Fan, activate the dividing world barrier. Yes, master. Wu. Soon, a 7-colored barrier envelopes the entire twilight domain. By my will, the barrier of Yin-Yang 5 elements encases the sea barrier created by the Book Hyang fleet. Great Mountain. Kugugugugugu. Clashing the energies of Yin and Yang from my hands, I quickly charge toward the Yin-Yang 5 elements barrier and spread my arms. Splitting Emperor. Kugugugugu. It feels like everything in front of me is boiling white. Simultaneously, the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique tears through the deep sea barrier. Thanks to the activation of the world dividing barrier by Hong Fan, the Twilight Domain, along with pre-designated figures like Oh Hyun-suk, John Myung-hoon, and the 13 Ghost Kings, are not torn apart. However, everything except for them is visibly shredded all at once. Kugwagwagwagwa. The 4-axis cultivators, the heavenly being cultivators, and the deep sea barrier created by the Book Hyang fleet, along with the rising deep sea level inside it. All of it vanishes. For a while, blinding white light envelopes all 4 directions and heaven and earth. I squint my eyes. What's this? The power is far stronger than I anticipated. Rather than it being due to my power, it seems the deep sea of the ancient force realm itself is reacting to the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique. Kugugugu. What? Just why? I'm taken aback as the power of the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique shows no sign of diminishing. Woo-woo. The entire nearby deep sea is reacting to the power of the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique. Yes, the ancient force realm itself is resonating with the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique. I squint my eyes, looking at the pillar of light filling my view. It's not just because I possess remnants of a destroyed world that brought me to the ancient force realm. Perhaps, this world itself has some connection with the owner of Salt Mountain. Ancient force realm, Xieji worship region. At the center of the Xieji worship region, in the deepest depths of the Sea King Hall, a man with blue scales half opens his eyes. His eyes brighten as he looks in a certain direction. Is it that being's true successor? The mountain god will have a fit. Hei Lin, the sacred master of the ancient force realm, chuckles and closes his eyes again. Try to obtain as much ancient force as you can, descendant of the owner of Salt Mountain. That way, you might have hope against the mountain god. Weizhongxi Domain. Governing Dragon Palace. The audience chamber of the Governing Dragon Palace Lord. There, the Governing Dragon Palace Lord Yuk Rin sits on his throne, his eyes wide open. As he looks at the map displaying the real-time situation across the Weizhongxi domain that floats on the floor of the audience chamber, his hands tremble violently. His eyes are filled with greed. The one who possesses the power of Penglai. Yukyo. That worthless insect finally did something useful for once. To catch such a big fish, Laughing maniacally, Yuk Rin stands up. This is very good. There's no need to keep my promise with that Jean Mayil. A better alternative has appeared. Yuk Rin bursts into a loud proclamation, sending his voice throughout the governing dragon palace. Hear me. Prepare a celebration immediately. We will be hosting an honored guest, and if necessary, we will hold Princess Yuk Yo's wedding as well. What are you waiting for? Move now. Thus, the entire governing dragon palace becomes busy under Yuk Rin's command. The Four-Axis and Heavenly Being stage mercenaries who invaded the Twilight Domain all flee with only their nascent soul left intact. Quite resilient, huh? By the time one reaches the Heavenly Being stage, most usually have at least 1 or 2 methods of revival, so none of them died. Of course, I could have prevented even their souls from escaping with my ability, but I don't feel it worth the effort, so I let them go. After subduing the Bu Qiang fleet, I enter the Twilight Domain. Bu Qianghua, unconscious and tightly bound by Kim Yun's spell, is carried inside by Kim Yun, who slings her over one shoulder. I glance at Bu Qianghua for a moment and sigh. I don't know what expression to make. At least, the fortunate thing is that since it's been thousands of years, my heart doesn't stir as it did when I met her before. Hyun, no, cult leader. Are you going to imprison this impudent thing in the underground prison, or will you kill her? If you leave it to me, I will turn her into a fine puppet. Yana. Feeling a headache coming on, I interrupt Kim Yun. That person is a comrade of Seo Ran and Sure Ho. For now, place her in the honored guest chambers. At those words, Kim Yun looks dazed for a moment and then asks again, isn't she a captive? There seems to be a misunderstanding. She's the comrade of not only Seo Ran and Sure Ho, but, over there, of Director Kim Young-hoon as well. Only then does Kim Yun notice Kim Young-hoon, who has been brought to the Twilight Domain by the Cursed Dolls, and flinches in surprise. Kim Young-hoon is still unconscious. Kim Yun, slightly dejected at my words, looks down at Bu Qianghua. I too look at the unconscious Bu Qianghua with blinking eyes. Although I don't feel the same turmoil as before, she is still a very complex presence for me. Flinch. Thinking about the past, I inadvertently lose control of my intent and direct a complicated intent towards her. Shaking my head, I return to the Wuji religious hall. When she wakes up, I need to sort out my feelings. After all, I know, the her of this cycle is not the her of that time. So, it might not be a bad idea to take this opportunity to sort out my feelings. I'll probably hear an earful from Hong Fan. During my battle with Kim Young-hoon, I tried to minimize the damage to the order, but the aftermath alone caused significant harm. Thanks to my careful control of power, there were almost no casualties, but the Twilight Domain was split, and buildings were uprooted, so Hong Fan must have had a hard time protecting it. Still, it's nice to see the faces I missed all together after a long time. When those who fainted wake up, it seems it will be quite enjoyable. Seo Eun-hyun enters the Wuji religious hall. Meanwhile, Kim Yun looks intently at the captured Bu Qianghua. Just now, what was that? Kim Yun glares at Bu Qianghua, recalling the intent Seo Eun-hyun had just shown towards her. Kids. With wide eyes, Kim Yun calls out to the expressionless cursed dolls repairing the surroundings. They immediately rush over and kneel before her at her command. Have you called, Left Law Protector Nim? Prepare a room in the honored guest chambers and bring medicines suitable for humans. I will personally nurse this child. Chapter 363. Is it not a joy to have friends come from afar? 7. Join the Discord for chapter updates and important news. Chapter 363. Is it not a joy to have friends come from afar? 7. The reason Bu Qianghua became close with Seo Ran was partly due to their meeting through Song Jin, and partly because of the amusing incident involving the engagement between Sure Ho and Seo Ran, which the parties themselves couldn't laugh at. However, one of the reasons she started talking to Seo Ran was because her childhood name was also Ran, Lawn Orchid. She remembered her childhood. Even now, when she closed her eyes, she could almost smell the faint scent of magnolias tickling her nose. Arena. The voice of a woman lovingly calling her childhood name, echoed. No. It's now time to stop using your childhood name, right, Qianghua? Bu Qianghua was clinging to a frail-looking woman lying on a bed. No, just call me Ran. Qianghua sounds weird. Ahoho, it's okay. It's a pretty name. I don't think so. While Qianghua was clinging to the frail woman, a middle-aged man with a stern face brought a bowl of herbal medicine. I brought the medicine, Yana. Thank you. It was Book Jung-ho, Qianghua's father. Book Jung-ho, with his stern yet somewhat sad face, fed the medicine to the frail woman, Yun, Qianghua's mother. After drinking the medicine, Yun coughed dryly. Day by day, her vitality seemed to wither away. Qianghua, can you live well even without Mom? Qianghua shook her head. Mom, where are you going? She buried her head in Yun's chest and cried. No, don't go. I've been having strange dreams lately. Last night, a rainbow-colored bird crushed me. I'm scared to sleep alone. My dear Hianghua, now that you've outgrown your childhood name, you should learn to sleep alone. If you're too scared, you can sleep with Dad. Nevertheless, Book Hianghua clung to Yun, crying. Even though she was young, she had a rough understanding. It was hard to comprehend death, but she had a strong premonition that she would never see her mother, Yun, again. Seeing Hianghua clinging to her side, Yun sighed softly and handed her a jade naraigi lying beside the bed. Tuck, Hianghua. Mom will give you a present. Take this. TL/in oob. Tuck is an onomatopoeic expression often used by parents to encourage their child to stop crying. It's similar to saying shush, but in a less demanding tone in English. It mimics the sound a child might make when they stop crying abruptly. Oh, what is this? It's a promise I made with a friend when I was little. Yun gently patted Hianghua's head. Hianghua listened to the promise entwined with the naraigi. So, when you meet that friend's child someday, ask how Wai'a is doing. Yes, and I will keep the promise well. If it's a girl, I'll make her my sister, and if it's a boy, I'll marry him. You don't have to if you don't want to. More than that, just ask how they are. I know, I'll keep the promise. Definitely. Hianghua grasped Yun's hand, making a firm vow. Yun patted Hianghua's head. Receiving her mother's gentle touch, Hianghua hugged the jade naraigi and fell asleep. Her hands smelled of magnolias. Underscore Mom. Book Hianghua wakes up dreaming of her mother, Yun. A strange floral fragrance wafts from somewhere, and delicate fingers seem to stroke Book Hianghua's cheek. Mom. Book Hianghua grabs the hand stroking her cheek and opens her blurry eyes wide. And then she flinches in surprise. Ah. The person stroking her cheek is not Book Hianghua's long-passed-away mother, Yun. It's Kim Yun, dressed in a light pink robe. Book Hianghua raises her upper body from the bed with a wary expression. She quickly looks around to grasp the situation. This isn't a torture chamber or a prison. The bed is clean. There are no restraining spells or prohibitions set up. I'm not a prisoner. Are they treating me as a guest? My magic artifacts, none are here. Book Hianghua, though not completely relaxed, slightly eases her guard and asks Kim Yun. What's going on? I definitely gave the self-destruct order for the first Hyang ship. Kim Yun scoffs and replies. What do you think would be so hard about canceling the self-destruct order to that toy ship? Book Hianghua nearly loses her composure at the dismissal of her creation, but she barely holds back and touches her cheek. By the way, why were you stroking my face so gently? I was plucking out the consciousness threads that got into your head. Your head is small, so it was easy to pull them out. It's no wonder your magic artifacts are the way they are with that small head of yours. Once again, Book Hianghua's forehead veins bulge at the insult to her creation. It must be nice to have such a big head. Kim Yun's forehead veins also bulge in response. Yeah, I guess I am a bit taller than you, shorty. You said your name was Kim Yun, right? Can you please change it? It feels like an insult to a great person I know with the same name. Oh my, why bring up another person because of your height? Even if I don't like it, I can still call my master's name. Huh, what kind of great person did you learn from to act like this? You, a person from the ancient force realm, wouldn't know even if I told you. Why? Are you embarrassed to say? I told you, you really wouldn't know? Well, he has a strange title called Mad Lord, but his puppet technique is. Then, the next moment, Book Hianghua's mouth drops open. Kim Yun notices her strange atmosphere and looks puzzled. Book Hianghua's expression becomes blank for a moment before she asks in a trembling voice. Your master is Mad Lord Zhou Yun? That's right, but the one with the hunchback who rides the wonderfully mysterious fortress? What? How do you know that? Weren't you born in the ancient force realm? Book Hianghua doesn't answer Kim Yun's question and remains in a daze. Remaining dazed for a while, Book Hianghua's momentum lowers compared to Kim Yun. How can that person's disciple be such a rude human? Kim Yun feels her mood sour, but when she sees Book Hianghua avoiding eye contact and looking down, she grins widely. And you were defeated and captured by that rude human, no? Ugh, I didn't lose to you. Excuses. But how old are you to be using you and you? TL/N. Korean formality stuff. Doesn't translate into English. Kim Yun asks Book Hianghua's age, and she hesitates before answering. 271. You're younger than me. When Kim Yun and her group fell to Ascension Path, Kim Yun was 26 years old, and Book Hianghua was 18. Although that much of an age difference became negligible after becoming cultivators, Kim Yun crosses her arms and speaks to assert dominance over Book Hianghua. Call me Uni. Book Hianghua hesitates, but the fact that Kim Yun is the Mad Lord's disciple lingers in her mind. What? Can you say it louder? Uncouth thing. However, Book Hianghua can't accept Kim Yun, who dismissed her creations, and eventually her hidden feelings burst out. A vein bulges on Kim Yun's forehead as her delicate jade-like hand grabs Book Hyangwa's shoulder. Kim Yun glares at Book Hyangwa for a moment, but then sighs and stands up. Fine. What am I even doing with a child? Humph. The one who looks like a child is you. Yeah. Well, you must enjoy looking withered. Thanks for the compliment. Looking down at Book Hyangwa, she speaks. Well, I almost forgot while bickering with you. You're a comrade of Seo Ran the dragon, Shurho the fox, and Kim Young-hoon, right? Book Hyangwa, who had been seething, calms down and nods. She momentarily forgot due to the good treatment, but strictly speaking, she is in a situation where she has been captured while fighting Kim Yun. What's the situation here? Judging by her tone when speaking of Seo Ran, Shurho, and Sir Kim Young-hoon, has she known them for a long time? Kim Yun explains the general situation to Book Hyangwa. Hyun Appa, I mean, our cult leader, the Wuji Ghost King, met Seo Ran and Shurho while he was in the lower realm. Then what's his relationship with Sir Kim Young-hoon? That person used to be part of our comp. How should I put it? Well, he was more or less our comrade. Book Hyangwa's eyes widen in surprise at this revelation. Sir Kim Young-hoon was originally a follower of a suspicious cult of ghostly creatures? No wonder he has many titles involving divine and demon. She looks up at Kim Yun with tense eyes and asks, what will you do with me? For now, you're the comrade of our comrade, so we won't be hostile. But since you did lead a fleet that caused damage to our order, we will decide after meeting with the cult leader. See cult leader. Book Hyangwa swallows at the mention of the cult leader. She has a rough idea of who this cult leader might be. The one who occupies virtually 1/3 of the Book Hyang fleet's strength and has practically handed over the title of Conqueror King to Book Hyangwa. And one of the decisive reasons her fleet gained the title of the Invincible Fleet. That Kim Young-hoon fought that entity at a stalemate and was even forced him to send a distress signal in the end. The monstrous cultivator who could duel with Kim Young-hoon while moving across the entire battlefield within 10 seconds, easily breaking through the sea circle barrier Book Hyangwa's Book Hyang fleet prided itself on. That person must be the cult leader. She breaks into a cold sweat. What kind of person are they? At that, Kim Yun's face turns red. That person is. Yes, he's an extraordinary person. Book Hyangwa realizes one thing from seeing Kim Yun's reaction. This woman is in love with the cult leader. And through Kim Yun's reaction, she forms a prejudice about the cult leader. If this rude woman likes him, the cult leader must be an incredibly twisted and bizarre person. Or perhaps he's not even human, being the cult leader of ghosts. Kim Yun, who talks about Seo Eun-hyun for a while, suddenly frowns at Book Hyangwa's intent, as if finding it unpleasant. You seem to be having some impure thoughts, but for now, get up and change your clothes. You need to be instilled with the etiquette and language used in Wuji religious order. Hurry up. What? No, wait. What are you doing? Kaya. With an irritated expression, Kim Yun lifts Book Hyangwa up and changes her clothes, using the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon to instill the language and etiquette of the Wuji religious order. Underscore, underscore, underscore. Oh no, I didn't realize my master was worried. I should have considered that. I'm truly sorry for my master. As soon as Kim Young-hoon woke up, Seo Ran heard about why they came and sighed with regret. The recently awakened Kim Young-hoon explained the situation to Seo Ran with an enlightened expression and welcomed us warmly. He reminisced with John Myung-hoon, Oh Hyun-suk, and me, catching up on old times, and expressed regret upon hearing about Kong Min-hee and Oh Hyeseo. Ahaha. But Hyung-nim, why do you look so weak and listless? You need to have a bomb shot, no? Oh Hyun-suk, who has always had a younger-older brother relationship with Kim Young-hoon, laughs heartily and approaches the rejuvenated Kim Young-hoon. But Kim Young-hoon, despite being approached by his closest younger brother Oh Hyun-suk's cheerful approach, only manages a hollow laugh with somewhat empty eyes. It shouldn't be because of me. I wonder if I had gone too far in destroying his cherished items. But since Kim Young-hoon doesn't say anything, I keep my mouth shut for now. And so, Seo Ran, Shurho, Kim Young-hoon, Oh Hyun-suk, John Myung-hoon, and I gather in the honored guest chambers and for the first time in a while, spend an enjoyable time laughing together. Just then, my consciousness detects two people approaching. Thump, thump. Is it because we are drinking the ghost wine of the Wuji religious order due to meeting up for the first time in a long while? Or is it perhaps because I haven't yet shaken off the shadows of my past? I feel my heart pound unnecessarily. And sometime later, the door of the honored guest chamber opens. Two familiar faces appear. Kim Yun and Book Hyangwa. The long unseen Book Hyangwa is wearing clothes reminiscent of the ones she wore the day we danced together. Underscore underscore. As Kim Yun helps Bu Qianghua change her clothes, she thinks, make it as plain as possible. She still remembers Seo Eunhyun's flickering intent when he first saw Bu Qianghua. Because of this, Kim Yun dresses Bu Qianghua in the plain white attire worn by the maiden ghosts of the Wuji religious order. If I make her appearance as unimpressive as possible, Eunhyun Appa won't take much interest, right? Then, after instilling some information into Bu Qianghua using the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon, she takes her to Seo Eunhyun. Soon after, Kim Yun and Bu Qianghua arrive at the place where Seo Eunhyun, the higher-ups of the Wuji religious order, and the higher-ups of the Conqueror fleet are gathered. Bu Qianghua walks nervously, practically being dragged by Kim Yun. Finally, they arrive at the honored guest chambers, and amidst her nervousness, she meets the eyes of Seo Eunhyun, who is seated there. Oh, her eyes widen. Bu Qianghua opens her mouth wide, repeatedly opening and closing before finally managing to speak with her hands on her beating chest. It was you. The person she had been searching for across the entire head realm, while she was building the Bu Qiang fleet. The promised person who had brought the jade green Naragi crafted by her mother, Yun. Seo Eunhyun gives a faint smile. His intent wavers, and he wears an expression as if reminiscing about something. The first to notice the peculiar atmosphere between them is Kim Yun. Kim Yun stares at the back of Bu Qianghua's head expressionlessly. She subtly infused a strand of her divided soul into Bu Qianghua's body using the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon without her noticing, so that if they ever fight again, she can control her like a puppet. Bu Qianghua, while staring blankly at Seo Eunhyun, takes out the jade Naragi from her bosom. Last time, you gave me this, didn't you? Seo Eunhyun looks at the jade Naragi. Bu Qianghua, her voice trembling, struggles to find the words. For some reason, she can't think of what to say. But barely, she manages to recall Yun's words. Ask how they are. Bu Qianghua finally manages to ask Seo Eunhyun a question. This Naragi, what I mean is, you aren't the original owner, but you received it, correct? Seo Eunhyun wears a dazed expression for a moment, then nods. Bu Qianghua asks Seo Eunhyun another question. The person who gave you this Naragi, were they well? Though it seems like a somewhat out-of-the-blue question, it's important to Bu Qianghua. She had sworn not to leave Cheonseek City until she asks this question to the person who delivers the Naragi. Yes, this was Yun's last wish. And Seo Eunhyun closes his eyes for a moment. Underscore underscore. Were they well? The one who gave me that Naragi was Bu Qianghua from the 10th cycle. I remember the moment I danced with her for the last time. I recall her pure soul ascending to the heavens after we shared our final kiss. Yes, she undoubtedly went to the afterlife without leaving any grudges. So surely, she must have been well. I nod and meet Bu Qianghua's gaze, answering her. The person who gave me the Naragi left for the heavens without any regrets. I see, that's a relief. Though her question and my answer seem to have different meanings, I recall her from the 10th cycle and steal my heart. So, there's no need for you to worry either, Mississippi. The woman before me and the woman from before are different people. Let's make that clear. From now on, we can build a new connection and create a good relationship as comrades. But she is not the one with whom I shared love. Please, have a seat, miss. The Wuji religious order and your Conqueror fleet can become good allies. Bu Qianghua, looking somewhat dazed, sits down. She seems to have expected something different from me. But at this moment, she, with whom I have no relationship built, is not the one I had given my heart to. Underscore underscore. Bu Qianghua sees that Seo Ran and Sure Ho are safe and resolves her misunderstandings about the Wuji religious order after hearing about it. However, she still has a dazed expression. Ah, surely, this is what I needed to hear. She was supposed to ask about their well-being as per her mother's will and, if possible, become sworn sisters or marry him. Of course, seeing that there's Kim Yun by the cult leader's side, she didn't have hopes for marriage. But why is it? Bu Qianghua feels a deep ache as if part of her heart has been torn away. It was like this back then. It was the same when that man first brought her the Naragi. She feels a strange sensation. Forcing a bitter smile, she excuses herself from the boisterous atmosphere of the honored guest chambers. Her chest feels strange. She finds a somewhat reasonable explanation for why she feels this way. Now, what should I live for? One of her life's purposes was to follow her mother's will. Following her mother Yun's words, she received the Naragi and asked after their well-being. Maybe it's a sense of emptiness because she achieved all her goals. No, perhaps it's because she can no longer reminisce about her mother while achieving her goals. The sorrow of not being able to reminisce about her mother any longer as she follows her mother's words. And the surge of emotion when she saw that man. Various emotions well up inside her. Then, Kim Yun appears beside her. Bu Qianghua hides her melancholic expression and asks, "What do you want?" "I came out to keep an eye on you." "Huh, that's really funny. And childish." However, Kim Yun doesn't take issue with Bu Qianghua's words and says, "If you want to cry, just cry." "What?" "As a senior in life and a disciple of the Mad Lord, who is practically your superior counterpart, I'll accept it a bit. There are times when you suddenly feel like crying. Just what do you?" But Bu Qianghua realizes she is already shedding tears. Kim Yun, releasing the expression she had earlier when glaring at Bu Qianghua, approaches her and pats her back. In the end, Bu Qianghua bursts into tears in Kim Yun's embrace. She doesn't know why. Is it because the life goal that allowed her to reminisce about her mother has been fulfilled? Or is it because of Seo Eun-hyun, who made her heart restless? Or perhaps, it's because Kim Yun has the same name as her mother by coincidence. Yes, maybe it's because Kim Yun has a peculiar floral scent, like the scent of magnolia her own mother had. Kim Yun extends her consciousness, blocking anyone from monitoring them within her consciousness domain, and comforts Bu Qianghua, whose emotions have burst out unexpectedly. Kim Yun still dislikes Bu Qianghua, and Bu Qianghua, who is crying in her arms, dislikes Kim Yun just as much. However, Kim Yun accepts Bu Qianghua's sudden emotions for one single reason. Seo Eun-hyun had done the same for Kim Yun when she was struggling. Kim Yun reads Bu Qianghua's emotions through the vision of the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon. Emotions accommodate all of heaven's natural colors, so she can't read them all. However, Kim Yun sees the heart that is mixed with worry and sadness for her parents, and she sees her past self overlapping with Bu Qianghua. How long does Bu Qianghua vent her emotions to Kim Yun? Bu Qianghua wipes her tears and says, "For now, I'll at least say thank you, Yuni." Chapter 364, Holding Hands 1. Join the Discord for chapter updates and important news. Chapter 364, Holding Hands 1. Bu Qianghua and Kim Yun seem to show some uneasy symptoms, but after a while, they return and rejoin us. Seeing that their intent seems a bit more stable, it doesn't seem necessary to worry too much. After enjoying a reunion with old friends, we gather the next day in the conference room of the Wuji Religious Hall. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for gathering here today. As the cult leader of the Wuji Religious Order, I sit on the main seat and address them. If yesterday was about reconnecting with old comrades, today is a more solemn occasion as we are meeting with the leaders of the Bu-Qiang fleet that invaded the Twilight Domain. It's somewhat expected that the representative of the Bu-Qiang fleet would be, true to the name, Bu Qianghua. Thank you for the warm welcome, cult leader. Let's all start by having a cup of tea. I instruct the servant ghostly creatures of the Wuji Religious Order to bring tea. Shortly after, a pot of honey is placed in front of each of us, and plum tea, a specialty of the Nether Ghost realm, is served. It's a bit sour for the average palate, so I recommend adding some of the honey in front of you. Interestingly, the ghosts of the Nether Ghost realm particularly like sour fruits like plums. Thus, those among the ghosts who practice would attribute methods had modified such fruits to make them even more sour. As a result, the plum tea, a specialty of the Nether Ghost realm, is much more sour than plums from other realms. Kim Young-hoon, with a face that seems to say how sour can it be, takes a sip of the plum tea and disappears in a flash of gold, reappearing shortly after. It seems he had gone outside the Twilight Domain to spit out the tea. Ahem, I'll just have some water. After seeing Kim Young-hoon's reaction, the others pour honey into their tea generously before drinking it. I order just honey tea instead of plum tea myself, and after lightening the mood after everyone has taken a sip, we begin the meeting. First, I would like to hear about the reason the Bu-Qiang fleet invaded our Twilight Domain. Although I heard the reason last night, it's good to hear it officially again. Bu Qianghua points calmly at Seo Ran and explains. First, we deeply apologize for the Bu-Qiang fleet's involvement in the destruction of the Twilight Domain. However, I would like to clarify that there was a significant misunderstanding regarding our reasons for coming here. We hastily concluded that Seo Ran, one of our comrades and a member of the Bu-Qiang fleet's leadership, was being held here, leading us to enter without considering the consequences. Once again, we sincerely apologize. She bows her head deeply, expressing sincere regret. I accept your apology. However, merely a verbal apology alone won't suffice. Yes, you are right. Therefore, after internal discussions, the Bu-Qiang fleet proposes. Despite her words, we already discussed everything amongst ourselves the night before. The Bu-Qiang fleet will be affiliated with the Wuji Religious Order for 1,000 years as mercenaries to compensate for the damages. Oh, very well. Excellent. However, we also have some conditions. Bu Qianghua presents the documents she discussed with Kim Young-hoon, Co Ran, and Shi Ho in our presence yesterday. The document outlines terms to prevent any unfavorable treatment, unilateral discrimination, or termination of the contract without notice. Of course, given that Kim Young-hoon was originally one of our colleagues, such concerns are unnecessary. I signed the clauses with a smile, and the Buk Hyang fleet side indicates they will return to their sea domain to discuss with Song Jin before signing. I laugh heartily and grant permission. After all, Song Jin only acted out of a minor misunderstanding, thinking Co Ran was threatened. He also owes me a favor, so he will surely agree. Moreover, Song Jin and Co Ran's current goal is related to Co Huiol, so they will naturally have to ally with me who opposes Co Huiol. In this way, I can naturally rejoin forces with the Buk Hyang fleet, including my old comrades Kim Young-hoon, Song Jin, Co Ran, and Buk Qianghua. Thus, the Buk Hyang fleet joins the Wuji religious order, and I call Yunjin before them. Yunjin, have you perhaps re-established contact with Yunwei? Yunjin nods at my question. Yes, my ancestor has recently sent a part of her split soul to me again. Good, in that case. Wu-woom. I infuse Yunjin's upper dantian with my consciousness using the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, allowing Yunwei to emerge from Yunjin's consciousness. Shortly after, Yunwei opens her eyes through Yunjin's body and looks around, sighing. I've already heard a bit while inside Yunjin's body. So, we're in the ancient force realm. Yes, that's how it turned out. Huh. Yunwei sits down, pressing her temples as if she has a headache. After informing Yunwei that we have joined forces with the Buk Hyang fleet, a power established here, I ask her 2 questions. For now, there are 2 things I want to ask Senior about. The first is regarding the health axis now that we are in the ancient force realm. Yunwei sighs before starting to explain. Since it's their first time hearing about the 5 blessings axis, Bu Qianghua and Shi Ho listen with great curiosity. Well, as you already know, building an axis here in the ancient force realm is not much different from doing it in the nether ghost realm. However, there is a difference in the void spirit pond here. She continues her explanation. There is no void spirit pond in the ancient force realm. The void spirit pond is originally a small hole connected to a dimension's surface, but the ancient force realm has no such holes. The deep sea of the ancient force realm envelopes the entire realm like scale armor, resulting in no void spirit ponds being present in this world. The deep sea envelopes the world like armor. The deep sea of the ancient force realm suddenly reminds me of the clear scale armor. However, there are indeed people who ascend, and there are ways to build an axis. The most notable example is the supervisory jade. Supervisory jade? I recall the jade I received from Co Ran before. Certainly, the supervisory jade allows a strand of consciousness to descend to the lower realms. Most of the islands in the sea domains of the ancient force realm are mostly large chunks of ancient stone. Occasionally, under the pressure of heaven and earth's spiritual energy, unique stones are formed within these ancient stone veins. These are the supervisory jades. Co Ran appears to be hearing about this for the first time as well, listening with fascination. The supervisory jade is a device that allows a strand of consciousness to descend to the lower realms. If you collect hundreds or thousands of such supervisory jades and refine them through compression, they are reborn as a new or called salt crystal, Yanjing. Salt crystal? Yes. Honestly, even someone at the integration stage might not know about this unless they are the palace lord of a sea domain. The transparent supervisory jade, under pressure, mixes with many other supervisory jades, turning snow white like salt and gaining new abilities. Unlike the supervisory jade, which only allows a single consciousness to descend, a salt crystal can send dozens of strands of consciousness, and can also be used as the core for the flying immortal formation that acts as a flying immortal platform. I see. I'm amazed by the wondrous properties of salt crystal. It functions just like a void spirit pond, but as an ore, can it be used in other realms? Haha, you want to carry solid void spirit ponds to other middle realms? Sorry, but salt crystals are effective only in the ancient force realm. If you use it elsewhere, it instead acts like an ancient force pathway that returns you to the ancient force realm instead of descending to the lower realms. I see. I click my tongue in disappointment. However, the fact salt crystals can't be used in other realms does not diminish its value. According to her, salt crystals are the only way to build an axis in the ancient force realm. So where does one usually find salt crystals? Typically, supervisory jades are born 1 or 2 at a time in islands with dense ancient stone veins. But to gather hundreds or thousands of them to make a salt crystal, one almost always needs to be the palace lord of a sea domain. Of course, it's not easy for even palace lords to make, so there are those that don't have it. The proportion of palace lords with a salt crystal is about half. Finishing her explanation, Yunwei turns her gaze towards the Buk Hyang fleet. Didn't you say your Buk Hyang fleet conquered 3 sea domains? Haven't you found any salt crystals? At her words, Kim Young-hoon makes a troubled face. We saw salt crystals in 2 of the 3 sea domains we conquered. 2. However, the palace lords of those 2 sea domains fled with the salt crystals in their possession, so we missed them. At that time, we didn't realize how valuable they were. Tack. Yunwei lightly taps her forehead and sighs softly. Well, it's no wonder. If you have a salt crystal, you can set up a flying immortal formation to recruit talents from the lower realms and establish your own force again. For the palace lords, it's as important as their lives. She clicks her tongue and sighs softly before asking me. You can only build the health axis if we have a salt crystal. So if you don't have one, you need to find a way to get one no matter what. Understood. And the second question is, how do we leave the ancient force realm? As I speak, I lightly distort the space with attraction force. Tuong. I use attraction force to create a hole in the void and try to extend my hand out of the dimension. However, unlike when I entered, my hand is rebounded back into the ancient force realm. Seeing this, Yunwei speaks. The ancient force realm is surrounded by layers of deep sea that emit attraction force. Therefore, those with entry qualifications are drawn into the ancient force realm by this force. But once inside, they must break through all of the deep sea's attraction force to leave, making leaving much harder than entering. Oh, so it's like the Azure Heaven creation sect. Oh Hyun-suk makes a perfect analogy that's easy to understand, and I understand immediately. But since Senior obtained the health axis and returned, there must be a way to escape. Correct. First, you can escape from the shallow depths of the deep sea if you know how to use attraction force and have coordinates at the surface. Kim Yun nods at those words. Escaping the ancient force realm is similar to escaping the shallow depths. With immense attraction force and another attraction force pulling from outside, you can leave. Back then, I escaped the ancient force realm through the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, but it will be difficult for you now. Both John Myung-hoon and I were bitter expressions at those words. The Grand Cultivator Association will probably not help me either. Even if I, the one they accuse as a Heart Tribe spy, were to ask them for help, they will probably do nothing but wish me a happy life. Is it possible to open a side path within the ancient force realm? However, she shakes her head at my words. If that were possible, the Black Ghost Valley would have established a branch here. It's possible to enter through a side path, but impossible to open one to leave. The deep sea prevents the formation of side paths. The ancient force realm is the only middle realm where the Black Ghost Valley couldn't establish a foothold. Then Seo Ran, looking at Yunwei as if she's talking nonsense, speaks. That's not true. Yunwei frowns at Seo Ran, then is startled upon seeing him in the black robes of Black Ghost Valley. What is this? There wasn't a Black Ghost Palace in my time. Haha, my master and I founded a branch here over 200 years ago. Ack. Yunwei, flustered, bursts into anger. That's not the point. How dare you interrupt an elder? Be quiet. Seo Ran closes his mouth and steps back at Yunwei's rebuke. Well, anyway, it's extremely difficult to leave the ancient force realm. Even Grand Cultivators and Demon Kings need external help to have a 50% chance of escaping. The other 50% of the time, the result is failing and becoming lost in the deep sea. I immediately cancel my plan to send John Myung-hoon, an integration stage cultivator, to try and pull us out. So, Senior, are you saying we can't leave the ancient force realm right now? Well, for now, yes. But wait 2,000 to 3,000 years. By then, I'll have ascended a few people in the head realm Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder and risen them to the 4-axis stage. Then they can pull you out. In other words, there's no way but to wait. No, it's not even certain that Yunwei will have raised cultivators at the Heavenly Being stage in the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. The head realm has already become barren due to mass ascensions. Even with Yunwei's grand efforts, it's likely they will only reach the Heavenly Being stage. They won't reach the 4-axis stage like Jin Byuk-ho, Hyogwak, or Azure Tiger Saint immediately after ascension. So, it could be at least 2,000 to 3,000 years at best, and 5,000 to 6,000 years at worst. I sigh deeply. A regular cultivator might be able to wait, but it's too long for me. In just 1,000 years, Kong Min-hee will transform 1/50th of the bright cold realm stable realm into something like the Nether Ghost realm, and the Mad Lord will reach the quasi-star shattering stage. Jang-ik will also return and kill Kong Min-hee. That can't be allowed. Isn't there a faster way? There is. By using the forbidden technique created by the founder Golden Divine, you can combine the soul and flesh of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect disciples into a monster called Thunder Beast, Lei Shot. Though it has no intelligence, in its initial immature state, it possesses the attraction force of a 4-axis stage monster. If I take control of the Thunder Beast's body and ascend, I can pull you all out to the bright cold realm within a month. It's an obvious question, but the disciples merged into the Thunder Beast cannot be reverted, right? That's correct. John Myung-hoon glares at Yunwei and asks, Ancestor, you wouldn't be considering such a thing, would you? Am I crazy? Even the founder only used that dreadful forbidden technique 5 times in his life. After using it, he even decreed, unless I personally permit it, this forbidden technique must never be used again. So no, I can't do such a thing. That's a relief. I sigh. If Yunwei had considered it, I would have had Kim Young-hoon's avatar in the head realm kill Yunwei to stop it, so it's a pointless method anyway. Can't we descend to the lower realms through the flying immortal formation made with the salt crystal and then ascend again? Oh, if you descend to the lower realms with a salt crystal, you are guaranteed to ascend back to the ancient force realm. Oh, I sigh again. This won't do. For now, I'll try to contact the Grand Cultivator Association of the Human Race Grand Alliance. If necessary, it's time to even undergo verification by insulting Jang X's ideology to return. I have to return, save Kong Min-hee, and somehow seal off Seo Huiol and Oh Hyesyo before Seo Huiol finds his eye again. I ask Yunwei, aside from escaping, is there a way to contact other dimensions? Contacting itself isn't difficult. You use an artifact called a supervisory mirror. It's made from supervisory jade, and it allows you to send your will to other worlds you've visited and are connected to through attraction force. It also has a function like voice transmission to communicate with known individuals. Where can I usually get a supervisory mirror? She looks at Bu Qianghua and her party. Usually, lords of sea domains have it. Ask if they obtain one while conquering a sea domain. Though the supervisory mirror is rare, it's not as rare as salt crystals, so they probably didn't destroy it. But Kim Young-hoon smiles awkwardly at those words. The palace lords seemed to be requesting support using the mirrors, so I smashed them all and threw them into the deep sea. If I hadn't blocked their requests for support, we would have had a hard time. I sigh softly. There's only one way left. Is there anyone out there? Bring Yukio here. We need both the salt crystals and the supervisory mirror, and since both are in the hands of palace lords, it makes sense to meet one nearby. To meet the ruler of the Wide Jiangxi domain. To meet the governing dragon palace lord, Yuk Ren, I call for his daughter, Yukio. Are you saying you'll send me back to my father? Yukio, with a blank expression, kneels before me under Shuraho's glare and asks, Yes, I plan to return you and the hostages from governing Dragon Palace, and after receiving some compensation, establish friendly relations. Despite being a coy, she gapes like a goldfish. Kim Young-hoon, and I read her intent. She's only thinking about escaping. However, I have no intention of letting Yukio go. I don't know what kind of trouble this scoundrel fraudster of a carp caused to be on bad terms with the governing Dragon Palace Lord, but judging from her actions, it's likely to be her fault rather than the governing Dragon Palace Lords. The reason we even ended up hostile to the governing Dragon Palace in the first place is because Yukio had stolen Seo Rant's face and got caught by me. Governing Dragon Palace misunderstood and tried to rescue her, leading to the current conflict between us. I plan to return this troublesome koi to governing Dragon Palace and seek reconciliation. I'm saying this just in case, but don't even think about escaping. As you know, our order has plenty of people to watch over you, and plenty of experts who can capture not nascent souls, but even heavenly being cultivators without a scratch. Yes, I understand. I will follow. Yukio bows her head to me, despite showing her true, completely different thoughts through her intent. Shuraho, seeing this, glares at her. From what I see, that fish girl is certainly planning to escape again, senior. Therefore, we should lock her up in the Bu Qiang fleet, where I, who knows her character well, can personally keep an eye on her. Eek! Yukio shivers and glances at me nervously upon hearing Shuraho's words. I nod and speak. Fine. However, while she will be left with the Bu Qiang fleet, the ones who monitor her will be from our side. If I leave her to Shuraho, Yukio might end up as sashimi before we can return her to governing Dragon Palace. Surveillance and escort personnel are necessary. And Yukio, you must have a way to contact the governing Dragon Palace, correct? You are a princess after all. I don't have a means of contacting them from my side. However, my father has placed a surveillance spell on my core. He will notice if my life is threatened. Surprisingly, it doesn't seem like she is lying about not having a means of contact. As I ponder how to contact them, Kim Young-hoon speaks up. I can go and ask for their opinion. How about that? Oh, there was that method as well. Please do. Good. Flash. Kim Young-hoon vanishes in a flash of light. Shortly after, he returns and places a small crystal orb before me. The governing Dragon Palace Lord gave me a linked magic artifact. Think of it as a video call. Before Kim Young-hoon even finishes speaking, the crystal orb emits light, revealing a dignified middle-aged man seated on a throne decorated with colorful coral. He wears an orange dragon robe made of scales, and on his belly, a dragon with a long beard is drawn. Are you the cult leader of the Wuji religious order that visited the Jiangxi domain? Greetings. This seat is the Governing Dragon Palace, Lord Yukren. Nice to meet you for the first time, Governing Dragon Palace Lord. I am the Wuji religious order cult leader, Wuji Ghost King, Xiao Unhyun. Yes, I heard from the Conqueror King's comrade that you wish to establish friendly relations with my palace and return my daughter and subordinates. That's right. While there was a bit of an unpleasant incident, it seems to have been a misunderstanding. I wish to resolve things peacefully. I speak to this point, and then observe him cautiously just in case, as it's hard to see his intent and heart essence through this video calm magic artifact. It's difficult to discern his true thoughts. He might take it as an insult and become even more enraged, sending his forces. Those who reach the integration stage have immense pride, and such a reaction is highly likely. However, Governing Dragon Palace Yukren bursts into laughter the next moment. Haha, good. I always welcome building relations with heroes like thee. Come to Governing Dragon Palace. I shall prepare a banquet. I am thankful for taking care of my daughter. Through this incident, it seems I will need to clear up some misunderstandings with her through the cult leader's help. Ho-ho. As he speaks, Yukren casts a cold glance at Yukyo, who is kneeling behind. Though his eyes are cold, he speaks to her in a warm voice. My daughter, it's been a while since I've seen you. This father has found a good husband for you. So return through this incident and get married with the blessings of Governing Dragon Palace. She doesn't respond, and Yukren doesn't seem to expect an answer as he shifts his gaze away from her. Yukyo's intent becomes noticeably darker with incredible fear upon receiving her father's gaze. Their relationship seems to be more than just a misunderstanding. However, I have no reason to intervene in Yukyo's family matters. Did she say she was engaged to the pirate captain of the fighting ghost race? It seems to be the integration stage fighting ghost who fought John Myung-hoon when he invaded us. Although he appeared to have died from my Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique, I saw his soul move through the plane of soul, so he must have revived. Unless his cultivation has severely declined, Yukyo's fiancé is likely still that pirate captain. After exchanging a few polite words with the Governing Dragon Palace Lord, I turn off the communication magic artifact. Summon the 13th Guardian Ghost King, Baekrin. I call for Baekrin and order him to place Yukyo on one of the Buk Hyang fleet ships and monitor her. Then, the Twilight Domain sets out for Governing Dragon Palace. Several days pass. Kugugugugu. I arrive at the center of the Jiangxi domain, on Governing Dragon Island, where the Governing Dragon Palace is located. Oh, is that Governing Dragon Island? Governing Dragon Island, where Governing Dragon Palace is situated, is a sky island covered with countless corals. Like the Twilight Domain, Governing Dragon Island floats in the sky, solemnly overlooking the Jiangxi domain below. Kugugugugu. Me, the Wuji religious order's law protectors, all the guardian ghost kings, along with the key members of the Buk Hyang fleet, gather at the edge of the Twilight Domain. Soon, the edges of the Twilight Domain meet the edges of the Governing Dragon Island. Governing Dragon Palace, Governing Dragon Palace, standing in the center of Governing Dragon Island, is a citadel built from the bones of countless demon beasts. Indeed, the flesh and bones of the demon race that had reached a certain cultivation are inherently tougher than most ores and imbued with spiritual energy, so building a fortress from them isn't a bad idea. Shortly after, the turtle that attacked us previously walks up to the front of the Twilight Domain. Our Governing Dragon Palace welcomes the esteemed guests of the Wuji religious order. Please come in. The turtle, unable to meet my eyes, bows before me. Then, it grows larger, using its demon ability to create seats on its back for us to ride. I will escort you to the Governing Dragon Palace. Please, board. We silently climb onto the turtle's back. Yukyo looks like she wants to flee immediately, but with Baekrin constantly monitoring her under my orders, she can't escape. The turtle swims through the heaven and earth spiritual energy in the air as if it were water, heading towards the Governing Dragon Palace. Kugugugu. The doors of Governing Dragon Palace open, and I look up at it. Usually, those in high positions in the cultivation world have powerful formations set up in their residences. Even if one has high cultivation, their combat power doesn't always correspond directly. There are indeed monsters like myself who can exert power several levels above their realm. Therefore, those lacking confidence in their combat power or with many people to protect typically have stronger and more dangerous formations in their main residences. However, despite being a place where an integration stage demon king resides, the Governing Dragon Palace only has a basic barrier at the nascent soul level. This indicates that the Governing Dragon Palace Lord is either confident in his own strength or has nothing precious to protect. We ride on the turtle into the inner depth of Governing Dragon Palace, all the way to the audience chamber of the governing Dragon Palace Lord. After a while, kagugugu, we arrive in front of the governing Dragon Palace Lord, Yuk Rin, who is seated in the audience chamber. Yuk Rin laughs heartily, rising from his throne to greet us. I warmly welcome the cult leader. I am pleased as well, Palace Lord. I dismount from the turtle and exchange greetings with him. However, I keep a certain distance after observing his heart essence. A greedy, suspicious, and cunning person. The governing Dragon Palace Lord's heart essence is like a swamp filled with thorny vines. At the same time, the energy I sense from him is sufficient to rival the leader of the human race Grand Alliance, Junjie, though not as powerful as Hyen Eum. Of course, I'm not too worried since this level of power is no longer a major concern for me, but he is definitely someone who would be willing to betray his allies at any moment. I should only take what I need to take and not get too close. After some superficial pleasantries, we proceed to the banquet hall with Yuk Rin. Yuk Rin doesn't even make eye contact with Yukyo. He casually gestures to his subordinates of the governing Dragon Palace, who then take Yukyo away, dragging her somewhere. Haha. As I wasn't sure what to prepare for a distinguished, ghostly creature of the human race, I just prepared some sour dishes that I heard ghostly creatures enjoy. Splendid. I will eat them gratefully. My tongue tingles, looking at the table full of plum dishes. The guardian ghost kings who are ghosts all seem to be drooling, and Yunwei also smacks her lips, seemingly enjoying the sour food. While dining with the palace lord, we exchange superficial polite courtesies. Ho-ho, you've raised your daughter splendidly. Thanks to her insight, we've received much help since coming to the ancient force realm. Haha, I'm so embarrassed I want to crawl into a shrimp hole. I was more worried my daughter might have caused some trouble. There was no such thing. Ho-ho, with her heart so beautiful, her fiancé seems to be a person of many blessings. In truth, it's only Yukyo's behavior that's too much of a scoundrel. Her heart essence itself isn't on the sinister side like Yuk Rin's. For a scam artist, her heart essence is quite pretty and pure. Praising her heart as I see it, I breach the subject, hoping to get introduced to Jean Miyol, the pirate captain of the fighting ghost race, who is supposed to marry Yukyo. That guy, I didn't get a good look at him, but he definitely reached the treading heaven stage. I'm interested as a martial artist and curious about his connection with the Heart Tribe fighting ghost race that Seo Lee saw in the storage scroll of Lofty Dragon True Person. According to Kim Young-hoon, he only managed to steal his treasured weapon and couldn't kill him. He must possess something extraordinary. Moreover, since he roamed the ancient force realm as the pirate captain of the fighting ghost race for thousands of years, forming a relationship with him to gather information will be beneficial. However, in response to my statement, said in hopes of being introduced to the pirate captain, an astonishing statement suddenly bursts from Yuk Rin's mouth. Haha, that's definitely right. Though she is my daughter, she is truly a virtuous child. Since we're on the topic, what does the cult leader think of my daughter? This bastard, just what is he trying to push onto me?